right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very good morning to all of you. We would like to start. I honestly want to apologize. It's not the usual business for WaterAid Uganda to start late, and we really apologize on behalf of all the stakeholders for starting late. But we are here, and we are ready to start. We did leave some of the seats here for our key stakeholders who will be joining us, so do not be surprised. But we believe in about 30 minutes those seats will be full, and we should be good to go. So welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you on behalf of WaterAid Uganda to the launch of WASH is Everyone's Business. We will talk about WASH quite a bit today, and I want to request, I don't know if you're aware of who your neighbor is and whether you know the organization they work for. So the very first business this morning, before I recognize all the stakeholders, is ask your neighbor what's the last activity they undertook on behalf of the WASH campaign. So if your neighbor is a journalist, that's a bit difficult. But if your neighbor is a stakeholder, so I see Joyce is looking for a neighbor. Please ask your neighbor, what's the WASH activity you undertook in the last few weeks or months? If it's a really long time, then they've not done enough. Yeah? I hope there's something. If your neighbor is the Rotary governor, that is a good thing. Because Rotary is always doing this. If your neighbor is the development partner, that's even better. Because they keep supporting the sector. If your neighbor is part of the civil society organizations in the sector, even better. All right? That's the only way you're going to know that your neighbor has done something. If your neighbor is silent, that's a problem for me. If they've not done anything in the last few weeks, all right? Good, so welcome. Let me not embarrass some neighbors, so you can come back to me. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of WaterAid, I want to welcome all of you. I told you if your neighbor is the governor of Rotary, there's so much to talk about. And I can see she's the only one still talking because there's more work they are doing in the sector. I want to welcome all of you on behalf of my bosses, WaterAid Uganda, to this launch. I want to, in a very special way, to welcome the Ministry of Water and Environment team, the Ministry of Education team, and the Ministry of Health teams that are here. We want to appreciate all of you for joining us this morning. In a very special way, we want to welcome our members of parliament. I did see the Honorable Basil Bataringa here. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us this morning, and we really appreciate you for joining us today. Our development partners in the room, our local government leaders, and of course, all the key stakeholders that include the Rotary family, that is in the room here, represented by one of our governors, the governor for the year. She insists it's 24-25, so we have to appreciate that, and the Rotary family that are here. We want to appreciate the civil society organizations that are here, the actors in the WASH space. We want to appreciate all of you for joining us this morning. As I did mention, our program has changed quite a bit, and you will note that some activities will come as soon as our chief guest has arrived. So on behalf of WaterAid Uganda, in a very special way, can we recognize Dr. Joyce Mpalanyi Magala, who is here. Can we appreciate her for hosting us this morning? And of course, our regional director who is here, Ms. Leah, we appreciate you for joining us, and thank you for joining us online. She will be speaking to us online very shortly. So we want to start, and we want to start with remarks from our campaign partners. Our very first remarks will come from IRC WASH, and I want to invite Ms. Naomi Kabarunji to come and make a statement on behalf of the country director. So Naomi, if you can make your way, you will kickstart the conversation this morning, and from there on we will quickly dive into the other conversations. So can I welcome Naomi to the podium on behalf of IRC? And now, may please keep it short. I'm recovering the time we lost this morning. And I know you've done this before, so it's easy to keep your statements very short. Ladies and gentlemen, IRC WASH, can we welcome them with a round of applause?
Thank you, Morris. Good morning. I'll recognize our guest of honor, Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Minister of State for Water, Honorable Aisha Sechindi, the Honorable Members of Parliament who are already present with us and are our partners, and elected local government representatives, if you are here, development partners, friends and colleagues in the water, sanitation, and hygiene sector, our friends and partners from the media, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective capacities. My name is Naomi Kabarunji, and I take this privilege on behalf of the Country Director, IRC Uganda, Ms. Jenna Winyamulumba, who could not be here today because of duty elsewhere, but who is very, very excited that us, IRC, which is the International Water and Sanitation Center, and together with a number of partners, Oxfam, WaterAid, UWASNet, Water for People, and a number of others who will be speaking here, are very excited indeed that you would accept to join us in the belief and in the campaign that WASH is everyone's business. We know what happens every time we categorize WASH. We put it in a corner and say it is an issue for some and not for others. But we know what that has done. Inequalities. There are very many things that happen when we are not bringing WASH at the very center of the things that we are doing, whether it is leadership, whether it is business, and whether it is politics. WASH is everybody's business, and we cannot avoid it. If you're from Uganda, you know what's happening in Chitezi, you know what we have recently had to endure, and which is still ongoing. That is a WASH issue, which, if not addressed from the beginning, can become a terrible situation that we all know about. And as I've been advised, Maurice, I'm well aware of the time that we have, and I will not take much of it. But we are here today to agree together and to come together to commit to a time when we shall work together to advocate and amplify voices for scaling up access and provision of gender-responsive WASH services, especially for women and girls in Uganda. I know that some people have wondered why we are saying women and girls, and yet it is everyone's business, but that we shall understand along the way. We have a number of objectives, and we've been working together in a team to promote awareness and increase engagement, especially from you, to enhance multi-stakeholder collaboration for gender-responsive WASH, and to advocate for improved access to gender-responsive WASH services for women and girls, both at local government level and all the other levels. We're here, today is the start, but we will be here for a long haul until March 2025, and we shall be going on to the next phases after we have dealt with washing away inequalities. We thank our partners, the key actors. We thank WaterAid Uganda, which is our host, UNICEF Uganda, Water for People, Oxfam Uganda, USAID, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, and everybody who has joined with us as we dream and as we begin. I look forward to the excitement that we're going to have today and the rest of the year as we run this campaign, and I call upon you in your organization, in your institutions, if you do have research, if you do have messages, if you do have money, please join us as we wash away inequalities. I thank you and I welcome you. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you very much, Naomi, on behalf of our campaign partners. And through the day, you will see more of our campaign partners on the various fora, including our panel discussion that should come a little later. I want, in a very special way, to also appreciate, and I know a lot of the times we don't, we always forget you, but we see you in the room, members of the Fourth Estate, members of the media that help us to amplify this message, and you will be a very key stakeholder in amplifying the WASH campaign, and we really want to appreciate you for joining us this morning. I will run a short video now, and immediately after that, I will invite our next speakers. So I'll ask our technical team to share that video right now.
Amanya gange mpitibwa Nawula Sharon, ndi mutuuze wa Lugwala Quarter. Bwe nzuukuka ku makya nsooka n'ensaba ne neebaza Katonda okumpisa mu kiro. Bwe mmala ne nsituka ne neesenyaako ne mpa n'abaana ne bamala okwesenya ne ntegeka ono agenda ku ssomero. Bwe mmala omutegeka n'agenda ku ssomero, kati ne nsigaza ono omulala omuto naye ne mmunaaza mu maaso. Ne mmala omunaaza mu maaso n'agenda okuzannya ne banne nga nze bwe nsigala nga nkola egy'awaka. Ne njera oluggya, bwe mmala okwera oluggya ne njera ne mu nnyumba ne nfulumya ebintu ebikyafu ne mbyoza. Bwe mmala obbyoza ne ŋŋenda ku luzzi. Bwe nkomawo okuva ku luzzi ne nkuma essigiri ne nteekako caayi. Bwe mmala oteekako caayi ne mulinda n'ajja ne tunywa ne tuwummulako awo nga bwe ntegeka nga lanchi, nga bwe nninda n'agenze ku ssomero. Abantu bangi ate nga tustragolinga ku bbowa egyo emu. Oyinza okgenda ku bbowa eyo n'osanga nga abantu bwe bati nga layini mpanvu nga kiwuka katako okutuula olinde banno bamalirize okusunda abakusooseewo. Ne bamala okusunda naye n'olyoka n'okola kyo n'osunda amazzi. Kati oluusi bbowa eyo egenda n'etuwonoonekako. Kati wali omugga omulala oguli ey'emmanga. Obuzibu bwe tusanga ey'emmanga, ente zinywa omugundi, abaana bawugiramu, mwaga amazzi nga bbowa efudde. Kati n'osanga ng'oluusi ab'ente bali mu kunywisa, nga bali kuwa ente yaabwe amazzi. Ente ziyinza okumala ne zisooka ne zinywa. Olumala okunywa nga naawe olyoka okola ki? Nga nammwe mulyoka musena. Kati ago amazzi ogenda gafumbisa. Bwe twakwesanga ago amazzi oluusi abaana baali baddukana, abaana balwala. Wali abaami baali babiri, abaana bwe bagenda ku bbowa, bwe bagenda emmanga eyo okukima amazzi, ng'oluusi babagoba. Waliyo n'omu gwe baakwata ne babagoba. N'ekyamukisa mulungi waliyo omwami yali ali mu kukkirira naye. Katono yalaba omusajja ng'ali kukkirira omubi n'akola ki? N'ayingira mu kikajjo ye n'agenda. WaterAid yatuyambye tusomesa okubeera abayonjo. Etuyambye otusomesa mbu mulina okubeera n'akatanda bye twali tutalina nga tenaba kujja byali tebiriiwo. Abamu tetwali tetulina ttooyi, tetwali tetulina butandaalo, twali tetulina biyigo. Ebyo byali tebiri. N'okuva WaterAid we yajja, kati buli omu alina ttooyi, alina ekiyigo, alina waaya, alina akatandaalo. Obuyonjo bwo bukyuse. Obuyonjo bukyuse bulungi. Kati saa zino ekyalo kiri kalafu era bw'okiyingiramu naawe owulira essanyu olwa WaterAid, era tubeebaza nnyo. Okuva olunaku lwe nalaba nga ba WaterAid batandise okujja muno ne bagamba bagenda tuyamba ku ky'amazzi, nze omutima ogwange n'ogw'abalala bonna bonna twasanyukira wamu olw'ensonga twali tugenda kuwona endwadde n'okuyombagana ku nnayikonta n'obulimba bw'abamakanika abaali batulyanga ne ssente zaffe ne bagenda ne batakomawo. Kati kyova olaba twakiwerokaminga ngaffe ekyalo ne tusanyuka era ne tubeebaza nnyo nti mwebale kujja kukola ki kutubeererawo natuyamba okutuleetera amazzi agagenda otuwa obulamu obulungi okusinziira nga bwe twali tubonaabonawo emabega nga temunaba kujja. Kati saa zino tugenda kufuna amazzi agamala, tugenda kufuna amazzi akola emirimu gyaffe egyawaka. Aba wooteri bagenda kufuna amazzi, tebagenda kuddamu kudaaga kuba abasawo bagombolola baali bajjanga ne babakwata olw'amazzi amakyafu. Naye kati saa zino byonna bigenda kukola ki? Bigenda kumulwa olw'ensonga amazzi gatuli kumpi kati. Tetukyagenda lugendo na bino ebibadde barepingira abaana ku bbo eyo tebikyaliyo. N'ebino ente zibadde zinywanga amazzi getukozesa wamu n'amazzi n'ente. Kati saa zino bigenda kukoma.
That wasn't enough. Can we give a better hand clap to WaterAid Uganda and the impact in our communities? As we are saying today, wash away inequality. Wash away inequality. The impact of a project like this in a community is what we will be looking at today. And I'm glad Naomi spoke about the finances, those who have the resources. We need the resources also so that we can do much more in our communities, so we can actually reduce the inequality in our communities. I know that the Ministry of Water, and I did see Dr. Kalist here and the team from the ministry who are doing their bit in increasing access to clean water in the communities, and we've seen the numbers. So Dr. Kalist and your team, we want to appreciate you, but Dr. Kalist and the team at the ministry need you, everyone on board, and I think that's why the WASH is everybody's business makes more sense now. And I'm glad that the Minister of Water and the Minister of Education and the Minister of Health are finding more partners in this campaign. So I want to now take the pleasure of inviting Dr. Joyce Mpalanyi Magala, our Country Director, WaterAid Uganda, to come and make some brief remarks, and she'll then invite Ms. Leah, who is our Regional Director, WaterAid East Africa. She's online to make her remarks. So may we welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Joyce.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're most welcome at this very important event when we launch the WASH campaign. I would like to thank you for the time, the coordination, and finances that have been contributed towards this event. It is my singular honor to introduce to you our Regional Director for WaterAid East Africa by the name of Leah Kagwara Wambui. She is a month old in WaterAid, and she is not in very good health state, but because of the importance she attaches to the WASH campaign, she has kindly accepted to officially welcome all of us here on behalf of the East African region and the global team of WaterAid. Without any further ado, I welcome Ms. Leah Kagwara to give her welcome remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joyce. I hope you can all hear me. Don't know why I have an echo.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
You hear an echo from me?
No echo at all.
If you can hear me, I will continue. Thank you very much for welcoming me. I missed to be in the room, but as Joyce mentioned, I could not be there. I will try my best to make some welcome remarks to all of you this morning. Our chief guests, Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Minister of State for Water, Honorable Aisha Sekidi, members of Parliament present, development partners, representatives of the civil society organizations, representatives of the ministries, departments, and agencies, representatives of local governments, representatives of the private sector entities, media partners present, you have been recognized by Maurice, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the room. It's a very exciting day for us at WaterAid. And I am delighted to welcome you all on behalf of WaterAid East Africa and WaterAid globally to the launch of the Wash is Everyone's Business campaign today, organized by WaterAid Uganda and the campaign partners, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, Water for People, IRC Wash, Oxfam in Uganda, USAID, and UNICEF. I take this opportunity to commend the government of Uganda and its development partners for their efforts and contribution towards universal access to wash services. The recent voluntary national report on implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development shows that Uganda has made significant strides in increasing access to clean water, and we've just seen an exciting video, and improved sanitation and hygiene services in rural and urban areas. But despite this progress, challenges of operation and maintenance of water supply systems, financing, and poor coordination continue to manifest. This has worsened the provision of especially gender-responsive wash services. Further, the delivery of wash service in Uganda has severely been impacted by climate change, like everywhere else, especially in Africa. Therefore, efforts such as developing the Health Adaptation Plan by the Ministry of Health and the National Adaptation Plan for Wash by the Ministry of Water and Environment demonstrate the commitment of the government and the development partners in Uganda in addressing climate change and provision of climate resilience wash services. All these challenges of inadequate wash services in schools, healthcare facilities, and communities greatly impact women and girls, hence worsening the gender inequality gap. Achieving universal coverage by 2030 will require a six-fold increase in current global rates of progress on drinking water, a five-fold increase for sanitation, and a threefold increase for hygiene. I am glad that this campaign is focusing on advocating and amplifying the voices, scaling up access, and provision of gender-responsive wash services for women and girls in Uganda. Access to wash services is not only a matter of convenience, but is also at the core of our existence. It is fundamental to our health, dignity, and opportunity. This is why our mission as organizations working on these issues is critical. We are here to ensure that everyone plays a role as we wash away inequality, improve access to water, sanitation, and hygiene for every woman and girl. And so I take this opportunity to really thank you all for being part of this historic campaign occasion. It is my wish and prayer that we all work towards ensuring that everyone, everywhere, has sustainable and safe water, sanitation, and hygiene. I take this opportunity to thank you all very much and wish you a very, very successful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leah. We had you loud and clear, and I'm not so sure you could hear. The room appreciate you for your statement and your commitment to ending inequality in this WASH space, and we really want to appreciate you for joining us this morning and finding time to join us for the launch of WASH is Everyone's Business. So I want to welcome our guests who joined us a short while ago while we were having remarks by Ms. Leah, but also previously, of course, by Dr. Joyce. We want to appreciate the members of parliament who've joined us this morning. We want to appreciate all of you. The Honorable Stella Isodo, Woman MP Ngora, thank you so much for joining us. Can we appreciate her, ladies and gentlemen? And the Honorable Nabukera Hanifa, Woman MP Mukono District, please appreciate her. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, the Honorable Basil we had recognized, and I know Patrick will work on an additional, I think I did see a member of parliament also join, and I will get the details and come to recognize the Honorable Member of Parliament. Thank you so much for joining us. But also here with us is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water and Environment, Alfred Okoto Kidi. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning. We have a small change in program, and so I will quickly turn to our panel discussion and invite my panelists to join us. I'll begin with the USNet representative, and of course from the Ministry of Water is Martha. Martha Naigaga, please come. But also from USNet is Unia Musazi, sorry. Oh, okay. They will be joining us very shortly. The Honorable Basil Bataringaya, please come. My panelists, please come. And of course, Mr. Birunji Musa from the Ministry of Education. Also, he walked in a short while ago, so I'm glad you made it right on time. And I want to appreciate all of you for joining us. So as Unia joins us, I want to invite my panelists. Please feel free to take your seats. We'll have a very short conversation and open this up for as many questions as we can as we get a countdown from the chief guest protocol team on how soon she will join us. But as soon as we have been told, I'll then guide the team. Feel free to take your seats, lady and gentlemen. I know the other partner will be joining us. So I want to recognize all the key stakeholders. Of course, Martha is Sanitation Coordinator at the Ministry of Water, and Mr. Birunji Musa is Commissioner of Basic Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports, and we have the Honorable Basil Bataringaya, who is also, I can describe as not just as legislator, but a member of the WASH actors, since he's a key stakeholder in this conversation. And maybe, Honorable, I may at some point come to you. Unia, I did introduce you, and so when you're seated, I'll introduce all the titles. Okay. So I will ask our panelists a few questions, and then I'll open this up to all of us to ask as many questions as we want, because given the time we have, I am trying to recover the time I lost in the morning. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Unia Musazi, the Executive Director, UWASNet, and we want to appreciate you for joining us. And Unia had initially thought I would start with the Member of Parliament, but his part comes in a little later. So allow me to start with you, Unia, as a network organization coordinating civil society organization, including social enterprises, development programs, the private sector, the NGOs in the water and environment sector. Let's discuss the barriers, the primary barriers women and girls face in accessing WASH services here in Uganda, and how your network is working to overcome these barriers. Unia, you can use the microphone next to you. That one there, yes. It's on? Should be. Check. My technical team, if we could come and just check. Are they on now? Can we check? Or you can get me one as you come. We can get one handheld mic as we get these mics checked. We did check them in the morning, they were working, so we are just verifying this. So we'll get a mobile microphone as we try and sort this. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are at the launch of the WASH campaign, and we are stating, and this is the very clear statement today, that it's everyone's business, and that's why we really are here, and our chief guest will join us a short while from now, and we'll ensure that when she does, we move into that segment a little later. Say, Unia, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you very much. Allow me to first of all appreciate WaterAid for this campaign that's focusing on the role of women and acknowledging that women play really a big role in ensuring that WASH is accessible by everyone in Uganda. Like we've seen in the small documentary, previously, and like we all know, it's the role of women either at household level or in any community, globally, but more so in Uganda, where the role of ensuring that yes, there's water every morning for hygiene, for cooking, and also the girl child, there's water at school, solely lies mostly with women. So the key barrier are first where we stand as a country, where we currently 82% coverage to safe water, and also 2.2 people still practice open defecation. Yeah, that's a key barrier where there's limited access, and because it's the role of the women to ensure that both water and sanitation are available, so they spend so much time. We just, yesterday, we were listening to statistics of, that are trying to depict the cost of inaction for WASH. And they're currently indicating that an average of around close to 50% of the time women spend allocating to ensuring that there's water and sanitation. Then, of course, secondly, as we all know, as a sector, we are constrained regards financing. There's inadequate financing, where currently you find, and we'll be hearing from the keynote, but also from government, that year after year, the budgets for the sector are cut. We did an assessment of the commitments made for NDP 1 and 2, and we found that in spite of those commitments that were made to the sector, the reality was that 88% and 50% for both NDP 1 and NDP 2 were realized, So we still have a challenge of financing to ensure that there's adequate, resources that are closer to the people. Then, of course, economic constraints, where a study by UNICEF indicates that 65% of the households indicated that they can't afford financing to cater for different components of sanitation and hygiene, more so menstrual hygiene management. And 10% of the households indicate that they spend 10% of their income to ensure that menstrual hygiene is adequately addressed at their level. Then, of course, lastly, a very big barrier is the lack of knowledge. Many of the women, like we had here, the intervention that WaterAid made in one of the districts, I think in eastern Uganda, the lady declaring that they didn't know the importance of WASH on their health, on their hygiene, So that lack of knowledge of knowing that if you don't wash your hands with soap, if you don't keep your household clean, the diseases that incur at household level, whether it's cholera or typhoid or diarrhea, they're mainly due to the lack of access to clean water or practicing good hygiene. So what have we done as the WASNet? First of all, is to coordinate the voices of our members to effectively influence and also change the scenario at different levels. Through our different structures that include the thematic working groups, we have a specific thematic working group that's focusing on women and other vulnerable groups. And this thematic working group is steering the capacity building of the 250 civil society organizations that are registered with the WASNet in terms of sensitizing them to mainstream gender in their policies, in their programs, but also to sensitize them in advocating for gender responsive budgeting at different levels. The levels where they're working at the local government, but also at community level. Then secondly, we are also, many of our members are supporting government in different levels. For instance, what WaterAid is doing here. But also many other NGOs like Simavi, who have worked with different line ministries like the Ministry of Education to develop a menstrual hygiene management guideline. You know, we have many examples where our members are bridging the gap in terms of service delivery, still to do with capacity building, and especially now to ensure that the services that we put in place are climate resilient, you know, but also the women are brought to the forefront of advocating and ensuring that their capacity is built to address the challenges that they're facing. Then lastly, of course, what is key to us as CSOs is generating evidence through partnerships, and at times we individually as NGOs. The study that I just talked about, the cost of inaction, is an example that's going to enable us jointly as practitioners within the water and sanitation sector to advocate for financing, but also adequate policies to address all those barriers that I talked about nationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Unia. And yes, let's appreciate her and what the network is doing. As the mic comes to Birungi, we want to talk education and what WASH services are in the schools. But I appreciate where Unia is coming from, and the key stakeholders in this conversation, of course, are also the members of the media, and how we are aware that radio penetration in this country is almost at 100%, and the Fourth Estate play a critical role in the dissemination of this information Unia was sharing. But I'm happy to note that these barriers have not, hindered the work you're doing as a network to ensure that you can reach as many women and girls in our communities, so that this awareness, the WASH, water and sanitation campaign, can reach as many people as possible in our communities. So thank you, Unia, and your team. I'll come to Birungi. Birungi, let's talk about, we've seen studies that have found that there is inadequate WASH services in schools that impact on learning outcomes, especially through absenteeism, school dropouts, and especially among the girl child. So my very first question to you, what steps is your ministry or the ministry undertaking to address and improve the status of WASH infrastructure in our schools?
Thank you very much, moderator. Mirungi Musa, and I'm coming from Ministry of Education and Sports. I coordinate WASH in schools. First of all, education is supposed to be a shared responsibility, where we have many key stakeholders playing their different roles. Parents, the learners themselves, our leaders, foundation board members, the parents, and then the learning ministries. Now, when you talk about WASH in the schools, 3 learning ministries work together to provide the services. Now, for example, when you talk about water, Ministry of Water is playing a key role in ensuring that our schools access water services. Ministry of Health is doing a lot in terms of sanitation and hygiene, and then education, of course, we are mandated to provide hygiene and sanitation services in our schools. As a ministry, first of all, we are finalizing the health policy, health school policy. It's now at cabinet level. And I think once it's approved, we are going to solve a number of issues in as far as WASH related issues are concerned. Now, as a ministry, we try to review a number of guidelines. For example, with support from UNICEF, we reviewed the latrine standards designs, where we added some features. For example, we are now recommending that every pit latrine for the girl child, there should be an attachment of an incinerator. There should be a washroom to support the girl child during menstruation. We're also emphasizing that there should be hand washing points to show that all our learners hand wash the hands effectively, of course with soap. We've tried, of course, ministry is dispersing money to local governments in terms of the development grants. For example, school facility grants, this current financial, there is money for rehabilitation and provision of us services in the schools. But the issue, of course, remains in their mandate, how to utilize that, that grant of rehabilitation and maintenance grants. Of course, there is the aspect of community engagement. Our parents and other key stakeholders play a big role. Private sector, line ministries, foundation bodies to support WASH services in the schools. We've seen many corporate organizations constructing latrines for schools. We've seen many organizations supporting our schools in terms of water provision. During COVID-19, many organizations gave out hand washing facilities to almost all our schools. We are also working with the private sector to provide wash services in our schools. For example, we've seen number of organizations, industries, factories supporting our schools to provide wash services in our schools. We've developed some guidelines, for example, operational and maintenance guidelines to support the key stakeholders to improve on wash services, because operational and maintenance is a very key issue. We construct latrines, we are giving boreholes, we are giving water services, but the issue of maintenance remains a very big issue. So we provided the guidelines for all our schools. We also carried out a national wash micro plan for schools for informing decisions, allocation of resources, and then for advocacy. We are developing some other guidelines. For example, latrine emptying guidelines, which is a very big issue. We conducted a situation analysis for menstrual hygiene management in the schools to support our schools and other stakeholders to improve on the issue of menstrual hygiene management. We want to see our girls menstruating with dignity. And we also are doing advocacy. For example, conduct, for example, the National Wash in School Symposium to bring key stakeholders together to share the experience and then chat way forward. And then lastly, we've tried to do benchmarking. Just recently when Zanzibar, we attended the African Learning Summit on washing schools for us to come here and do some best practices. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Birungi. Can we appreciate Mr. Birungi? I understand the gravity of the matter because you deal with many schools, you deal with several districts, and a lot of your work is also directly done by the local governments, and particularly through this campaign, we've seen that part of the objectives of the campaign is to roll out this through the local governments, which you work with directly, to reach as many schools and communities as possible. I'll come to Martha because your work with the Ministry of Education clearly, finds, several linkages. So I will, first of all, look at the recent Demographic Health Survey report of 2022 that shows that 18.7% of Ugandans still use water from unimproved water sources. 27.9% spend more than 30 minutes or longer on a round trip to the water sources. So I begin by asking, what mechanisms and policies has the Ministry of Water put in place to deliver gender-responsive wash services that address the unique wash needs of women and girls?
Thank you so much, Maurice. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to amplify the role of women in WASH, but also speak to the issues and positions government has put in place to improve access of WASH to women and girls, but also positioning them as key and as key stakeholders in the WASH agenda. Government has put say the Ministry of Water and Environment specifically, we have a gender strategy that has highlighted the need to have gender equity and participation of women in water issues, but more so to emphasize the role of women in management, utilization, also the control of water in communities. We all realize the burden of water management, of use, collection, at household is disproportionately. Hello, is this better? Yes, the burden of utilization, collection, and management of water at household level, and also in the community, disproportionately falls on women, and yet the women are already burdened with other household chores and that kind of thing. So it removes them from freeing up time to engage in productive work and things that would enable them to empower themselves and improve their lives and also the lives of their households. Women also bear the burden of caretaking at home, but also in the community and the general family position. And they are once in a while or often required to offer themselves in person. So easing the burden of WASH on women really enables women to be able to participate in these other productive agendas of the society. So what has the ministry done? We have a strategy that highlights that, and we've been emphasizing the issue of community involvement in management of water resources, but with special emphasis on women and the role they can play in management and the role they can play on these committees that make decisions at community level, at water source community level, water source committee level, but also in other spaces of leadership especially, that decide. For example, councils in the districts, we emphasize that women should take key positions in that. But we have also had, as government, a paradigm shift. By embracing the SDGs, we have been able to align ourselves as government to the needs of women regarding WASH. When we speak to having water on the premises, as far as SDG 6 is concerned, we are easing the burden of women. And locating water on the premises is able to have the women have the water quickly and reduces the time they would have spent to collect water and also return to their places and engage in other work. But also to do with issues of gender-based violence. We know that spend lots of time at the water sources collecting water, but also queuing up for many hours. They do not only expose themselves, but also are subjected to further danger when they go back home and their husbands are thinking otherwise. And yet it's an issue of the queuing time and the long distances that they take. So as government, we have embraced the SDGs and are committed to having water at the premises to enable women participate more in their household activities and not spend so much time in collecting water. We are also now focusing on having more pipe systems, that we want to reduce the walking distances by solar powering or motorizing in one way or the other the point water sources that require women to move from their homes to the point water source to collect water, that we are bringing the water closer to the homes. And we are reducing, therefore, the walking distances and the queuing time that women require to be able to get water for their families. The other approach we have embraced as government is the water source per village. We are ensuring that every village has at least one water source. And so far, we have been able to cover approximately 80% of the villages in Uganda. And I can assure you that the struggle continues. We have a focus recently on issues to do with environment and social safeguarding during implementation of our water and sanitation projects, where we are emphasizing issues of elimination of gender-based violence, and we are amplifying that to the implementers, to the communities where we work, and also speaking to issues about violence against children, and also sexual exploitation and harassment. I'm sure for many of us who have interfaced with people who live, for example, in informal settlements, this is not very new, that people can use sex to harass women because of water. That they will want to use sex as a tool to decide whether the woman will actually access water or not. If it is a person in control of the water source and they think that the woman has to use sex to be able to access the water, that can happen also in the refugee settlements. And we as government, we are speaking about that and emphasizing that issues to do with sexual exploitation and harassment should be dealt with. And we're emphasizing that as one of our safeguarding measures when we are implementing WASH projects. Relatedly, we also emphasize issues to do with gender segregation, especially of sanitation facilities, where women should be having separate facilities to allow them to have privacy and conduct their business in private and also in a safe environment. We are also emphasizing issues to do with safety of workplaces, especially on WASH projects, where we're emphasizing that women must be allowed to participate in terms of the job opportunities, but also not to be harassed just by the fact that they are women, that they are able to participate in these WASH issues and also benefit from the WASH interventions. So we realize as government that while we don't intentionally exclude water, in some cases we don't exclude women from WASH participation. We've not been intentionally targeting women involvement, and we want to highlight that as government to all of us as key players, that women have a critical role to play in the development of this country, but also in the WASH space, that we should not restrict them only to the use at household level, but they should be able to decide where is the water source located, how far is it from the settlements, what time is it opened, what time is it closed, who manages it, and who is in that decision-making space to allow women to participate properly. So we are emphasizing that as a government, and we are also emphasizing that improvement in the general access to WASH, because we believe that by doing that, we are really easing the burden of a woman and enabling her to free up her time to participate in productive work, but also school, especially for the school-going children, that they will not engage so much in collecting water, but they are able to have water at the nearest location, and then they are able to go quickly to school, yes. And they are able to stay there for the time that they are required to, by just having access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene.
All right, thank you very much, Martha. And I see how passionate you are about this. It's very clear that work has been done, some work has been done, but there is still a long way to go. And I'll turn to Honorable Basil, because part of the critical components of this conversation is financing, and I know Naomi spoke to this in terms of the dwindling budget for the WASH sector. And as a member of parliament, and I'm excited, we have more members of parliament here in this room. We are talking about the cardinal role of members of parliament, legislation, oversight, representation, and appropriation. So here's the question, because it sticks around appropriation. We've seen, as mentioned in most of these statements, the dwindling budget for the WASH sub-program that reduces amidst, of course, the weak accountability systems for these funds. What mechanisms do you think government should put in place to prioritize WASH budgets, allocations, and accountability?
Thank you very much. As you said, my name is Basil Bataringaya. I'm a member of parliament for Kashar North in Barara district. And for increased introduction, because what we are talking about, WASH activities affect the youth. So I'm also a member of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Youth Affairs.
I was worried you're about to say you are a youth, but it's okay.
No, where I am commonly known as senior youth.
There you go. I was waiting for that part, Honorable.
Because this affects young women and girls, what we are talking about today, so I speak for those young women and youth. As a member of parliament, first of all, I want to remind all those who are attending our cardinal roles. One is legislation. So putting in place those laws that will help government to function. Two, budgeting, which is part of the question you have just put it to me now. Three, oversight and therefore accountability for these monies that have been budgeted for by government and the different stakeholders in the, for example, in the WASH activities. And then lastly, representing our people, getting ideas from them, and then we represent them at different forums, including discussions on the floor of parliament. Those are our 4 cardinal roles. So your question is, what can government do to make sure this? First of all, the theme today is about gender responsiveness. Let me put it very clearly. I want to remind the members, the theme is access to gender responsive WASH services and its impact on women and girls in Uganda. Gender responsive WASH services. So while government is doing its budget, the first thing is to make sure that there is equality. There is these marginalized groups, because women are often marginalized by the nature of our society in Uganda, and even girls are even more marginalized to the extent that sometimes we choose to get them out of school in favor of boys. So when we are doing budgeting, those activities that affect those marginalized groups, our role as members of parliament should be to target them and make sure that we focus on them and they are included. Now, what has parliament done? The other arm of government, of the 3 arms of government, it has, together with the executive, ensured that in every budget there is gender responsiveness. And gender, we don't mean women only and girls, we mean the disabled, we mean, so all those activities that include gender. So we should integrate this. And why do we do it? If you look at the video that you showed us at the beginning, I looked at the activities of the lady. She wakes up, washes herself, her face, and the one of the children. It's water. And her cleaning her body. Washes up utensils, the dirty utensils they used at night. Cleans the compound and the toilet. Cooks. And then goes to collect water. So in this budgeting, this means in order to make this woman very comfortable in doing these activities, we must put water nearest to her so that there is very little, there is less time wastage. But on top of that, also less tiresome work to her so that she can perform her activities. But I added on this when I was watching the video, because it was of WaterAid. I implore WaterAid and all the stakeholders, including us in government, to ensure that these activities, which is carrying on, when we are financing, getting water to them very near, we should integrate an activity that they can do to enhance finances. Because in all these activities she was doing throughout the day, there was no income generating activity. So once we integrate some income generating activity, then we have dealt with her, with her some of that pocket money that she's going to give her children to go back to school, or the girls to generate some money for themselves to buy some of those key things. Two, what affects these women and young girls sometimes is those issues to do with the agenda, with how they are born as women. So what should we do as government? The issue revolves about the water, to their hygiene. A young girl must be taken care of right from just before puberty to grow her into a woman that will be accepted by a man in the future. You know, once a girl is not attended to at that age, her future may be completely spoiled because of issues of order and what have you. I am being plain. So, the lady needs water. And therefore, during our registration, as the person responsible for education has just said, we must, and I repeat it, we must take water to the village. Clean water to the village, not just water, because you are fighting order, so you must use clean water. Two, girls, young girls, I'm going to the theme. Young girls are going out of school because of hygiene issues that come with their growth and change in their body systems. So we must legislate, and I think we can afford it, to make sure that when a girl breaks into puberty stage, government must take care of that young woman into growing as a clean and responsible woman. And therefore, providing sanitary wear, sanitary pads to these girls should be a must in our law. I'm sure there are my colleagues will supplement, but recently, Ministry of Water constructed a dam, a very water reservoir in my constituency. And when I was talking to them, they were constructing water for production. I asked them, you are constructing water for production, but these people don't have water for domestic use. They have been coming to this very dam you are improving to get water. Now you are improving it, expanding it, deepening it, and therefore making it even more dangerous to the children who will come here to collect water. So why don't we pump water out and have stand pipes outside the dam so that the children, the women, can collect water from this? They said, no, this is water for production. And I said, but they are still going to come to the dam. Therefore, to me, water in whatever form is being provided should be taken as near to the people as possible to save time. When we get resources to make it cleaner, then we can intervene with other issues. And lastly, the sanitation issues we are discussing to deal with water are also dealing with the environment. We have seen a lot of changes in the environment. This change in environment is majorly caused by men. However, affects more the women. So, how do we legislate to ensure that our men do not disturb or destroy the environment so that our women and girls are not affected? Thank you.
I want to thank you, Honorable Basil. And I'm glad you did mention the fact that your colleagues from the House, August House, can supplement on this, and we'll come to that at an opportune time. And I like that you ended on the issue of climate change, which is a critical component of the campaign. The campaign we are talking about today, which is WASH, is everybody's business. The climate change impact on this conversation is critical, and of course, during the campaign, WaterAid will guide, of course, on how partners and stakeholders who will be participating during this campaign will speak to the impact of climate change on this particular conversation we are having. I wanted to appreciate WaterAid, first of all, because you have a critical mass of members of parliament here. I did introduce some. Allow me to introduce the others. I'll begin with the Honorable Ekudo Tom, Member of Parliament, Gweri County. Please stand for recognition. Can we appreciate him for being here with us? The Honorable Joel Sebikali, please stand for recognition. Can we also appreciate him and thank him for joining us? We also have, he was here with us earlier. I hadn't received the details. The Honorable George Didi Boka, Member of Parliament of Bonge. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, the question Honorable Basil raised, and Patrick, in case I still have an MP I haven't recognized, you will have to answer for that and get me the details. Honorable Basil will help me in case I miss any. But Dr. Kalista, I think I'll come to you at some point, because he raises the question on the coordination. Because when he speaks about water for production, which falls under Ministry of Agriculture, how is the Ministry of Water coordinating with the Minister of Agriculture to address the question he raises? Oh, you want the PS? Okay. You're delegating upwards, Dr. Kalist. I thought I would go to the PS and he delegates downwards, but it's okay. PS, I'll come to you. How do we coordinate water for production with water for the communities in your conversations you're having at the ministry level? But I wanted to also open this up in case there's a question. I still have questions for my panelists, but I don't want to lose you, so I want to open this up. If you have a question, let me know. I'll come to you. I'll get the microphone to come to you. The team, technical team, just send me one person. I can send you back your mobile mic since the other mics are working. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come to you. You'll introduce yourself. And then there is a question there, technical team. I'll just get this mic. All right. In case there's another mic, we can hand it over. Oh, okay. We have someone here. There's a gentleman there at the back. There's another gentleman there. And I'm being gender inclusive. Members of Parliament, I'll come. I also want ladies. This conversation is about women and girls. So here, you'll start here. No, let me give you this mic. Then I'll get another. So start with the gentleman there. Then there's another gentleman. The gentleman on that table at the back. Just raise your hand again so she sees where you are. There you go. Members of Parliament, I'll give you time. Don't worry. I'll come. Let's have... Yes, he's right... Okay, you can start there. That's fine. Then I'll come to this gentleman. Introduce yourself. Keep it short so I can get as many people. I'm working within the time before my chief guest arrives.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Matovu Jafar is my name, the President of the Association of Uganda MTRs, as well as Secretary in charge of Information, Mobilization and Awareness at PASA. PASA is an umbrella association which involves all the private sanitation operators across the continent, and our offices are in Dakar, Senegal. I wanted to ask, actually it's not a question.
Yes.
Don't you think, and it goes to Mr. Musa and the last gentleman.
Honorable Basil, yes.
Honorable Bashir.
There.
Don't you think it is now time that Uganda thinks and take it very important to have an independent ministry dealing with sanitation, just like other countries have done? Because we've been getting a problem. When a problem comes in the communities, we get a problem to identify the rightful office to go to attend such a problem.
All right.
So it is, I think in my own feeling,
yes,
that it is time, and it's good Honor, the High Excellency, the Vice President is coming here. She should take this information to the President.
All right.
That Uganda at this time, if we were to address the sanitation issues,
Yes.
we need an independent ministry.
All right.
Otherwise, the budgets for sanitation diffuses and ends diminishing in thin air because there's no aligned ministry for this. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
The gentleman there, and you know, he heads our MTS. That's a very critical group of people, mass of people that support the issue of sanitation and hygiene. So we want to thank you, sir. Yes.
Yes, thank you, moderator. By name, Semokoteka Abubakar, founder and CEO, Brilliant Sanitation, Uganda Limited, and in charge of semi-mechanical MTS in Uganda. And also, I sit on the Capacity Building Committee at Pan-African Association of Sanitation Actors. Now, Honorable from our good parliament has elaborated that girl child are moving out of schools because of like hygiene. They don't know how to get the pads and what. But we see that a big percentage of girls go out of schools because they don't have access to proper sanitation facilities.
Right.
Like when these toilet facilities get full, they can't access the sanitation actors, sanitation providers. Now, what they do, if at all they cannot access such facilities, they just go out of schools. Now, we as sanitation actors, we lack capacity to deliver the services. But when you go to like financial institutions as sanitation actors, we don't qualify to get like loans and what, because they ask for collateral, security and what. But other sectors get like support from government, like agriculture and what. But when you talk about the sanitation actors, no way.
Right.
So, in my humble request,
Yes.
through the parliament and ministry, please think about sanitation actors, because it is we who are providing the best services
Yes.
to schools, institutions, and more, so that girl child can remain at school for more studies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll turn the mic. There's a gentleman there before I come here. There's a gentleman there, and then I'll have this. There's a lady. I was looking for the gender balance, and I'm glad you raised your hand. All right. So the gentleman there, keep it short. I don't have too many minutes. I think I have about 12 minutes for this conversation. Yes.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I'm Christopher Biabashija, Minister of Education. The thing is so gender sensitive, but how about you include the boy child in this?
All right.
Yes, the girl child knows it all, but what do the brothers know? How much, what value do they attach to that girl who is in her days, and how best can they assist her with what they know and what they have? Thank you.
The boy child, Dr. Joyce, the boy child. Does the campaign capture the interests of the boy child? There's a very smart gentleman here who is not so far, then I'll have the lady last before I come to my members of parliament. Yes, here.
Moderator, thank you. I'm Kanala Moses, Deputy Mayor, Machindia Sabaga Municipality, and Secretary for Health and Education. It is very sad. The same workshop, we discussed the same issues. Honorable Wataringaya, his statement is the same. We agreed about the public toilets on Entebbe Road and highway from Kampala to Jinja, from Mukabale to, we have not a single toilet or public toilet, but the same we're talking about sanitation, hygiene, and whatever. We think if we have a discussion, let us implement that discussion. You are a member of the parliament. You told us we are going to present that matter in the house. Mr. Wataringaya, Honorable Sir, I want to see you presented this issue or not. Are you with us or with? Thank you.
All right. That's very clear. Honorable Basil, that is clear where it's going. And the question to the lady there, Honorable, you need to tell us, we need indicators on your presentation from the last meeting. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Maurice, and good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I am Dr. Rose Mukisa Wisoborwa. I am the Executive Director for White Ribbon Alliance Uganda. And mine is a comment, so to say, but maybe something for us to learn from. One is I want to appreciate WaterAid and the partners for the fact that our approach as White Ribbon Alliance Uganda to issues to do with advocacy for women and girls' rights, including WASH, is we ask, we listen, and then act. So I am glad that WaterAid and partners are actually now acting on the priorities of women. The theme of WASH is everyone's business is good. But I wanted to stress the fact that for women and girls, WASH is a priority. And this came out conspicuously in the recent campaign that we did where we went out to ask 90,771 women in this country in 32 districts who confirmed that WASH was one of the priorities of women and girls in addition to respectful maternity care. I'm excited to see Honorable Joel Sebikali, our male champion for respectful maternity care. Thank you for coming. And so we can integrate respectful maternity care with WASH to see that, the voices of the women that came out from the over 90,000 people in this country, women and girls, responded to. I thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Your name again, Honorable Basil wants to catch your name.
I'm Dr. Rose Mukisa,
Dr.
Executive
Rose.
Director for White Ribbon Alliance Uganda.
All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Rose, there's a gentleman just in front here, just next to you, there.
All protocol observed. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrick Mufoya, the Managing Director of Davis & Shutcliffe. I think it's good that we could also hear some comment from the private sector. I think it's important. Now, I just took note of what Madam Unia talked about, and I found it a very, very important statement, that the burden of collection and utilization of water is really a critical thing. And also, of course, the video that was shown there, where you see this expectant woman going to collect water from a hand pump. And I just wanted to say that now from private sector, the technology space of it, I know the history about hand pumps is that it was a cheaper solution to make water available instead of very expensive motorization solutions. But at the moment, I would like to urge the various players in the sector that there are very small DC pumps, a pump that would use like one pump and one panel or two panels, whose value, or in terms of cost, it would be the same cost or even slightly cheaper, plus or minus a small figure of hand pumps. So I just want to encourage the various players in the sector that instead of hand pumps where you can imagine this expectant woman trying to pump water all through, you can get those very simple and basic solutions which are better and easier for women and children. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that intervention. I'll allow the members of parliament, if you can move as I introduce some of our members of parliament. The Honorable Nakato Mary, MP Buyende District, we want to appreciate you for coming. Can we appreciate our members of parliament? The Honorable Mutiwa Joffre, MP Bunyole West, thank you so much for coming, sir. And the Honorable Opio Samuel, MP Kole North, but also Chair of the Vice Chair of the Health Committee. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And that's why I kept insisting they need to bring this list. So I had seen you here, but I needed you to introduce yourself. So where do we start, members of parliament? Yes, we can start there. Keep it short, so I have interventions. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, moderator. Dr. Boka is my name, member of parliament of Bowie constituency and a member of the health committee. I want to thank WaterAid for bringing us together for this very important engagement. Water, sanitation, and hygiene has a very close nexus to sustainable waste management. My question to the panelists is, in this conversation, under the wave of the Chitezi landslide tragedy, where do we put the question of sustainable waste management within the WASH conversation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you, moderator, and also the organizers of this event. When we talk of WASH is everyone's business, my expectation was actually to see health ministry having also strong input in this discussion itself. I haven't seen, but I hope that they are present. I say this because WASH for maternal health is a very critical aspect. When you look at just issues of utility bills for national and regional referral hospitals, as at January 2024, was 14.9 billion shillings. Those are arrears for water in national and regional, without even looking at the general referral hospitals. One of the concerns that has been raised from Ministry of Health has been that Ministry of Water has a policy that does not allow the general hospitals and regional referral hospitals to put up their own water sources. It will be important that we get clarification on this, and if indeed they are allowed, then we need to strengthen the framework on implementation. Secondly, WASH in the community. We have these water user committees. The biggest users of the water sources are women. But what is so surprising, in my own constituency, almost 70% of the water user committees are chaired by men who rarely even go to those water sources itself. I think we need to redefine those policies and make it a requirement that it is the committees should be gender sensitive and preferably actually chaired by women, because I've seen where money is collected, but it is embezzled by the men, you know, and the women are the ones who are collecting it. Lastly, WASH in the schools. The issues of water source per village. We need to come out clearly in that policy, because there are villages that have a health facility, they also have a primary school, but they have one borehole. We need to come out clearly whether it is water source per village, but also per primary school, per health facility, so that there can be clarity. And lastly, the cost of putting up a 5-stand latrine. In my constituency on Medis, around 24 million shillings. But several times when the community mobilizes their resources, they're able to do it at a much lower cost. So we need to get more clarity on really costs when it comes to aspects of water sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Peo, at the back there. Oh, go ahead, Honorable.
Thank you so much. I would like also to add my voice. You see, for me, I was a local leader. I started from youth council, although my senior says he's a senior youth. I am also one of them. And then I upgraded to LOCC chairperson, whereby in my constituency now, where I was a sub-county chairperson, there was no water sources. It was at 23%. But after my time of leadership, it reached to 87%. And the reason why, you know, as a leader, my brother, the first person who made it during our discussions, said it, that there is no, you can't tell where do we start from. But for me, when I was a leader, I said, let me start by digging pit latrine. And I asked everybody to dig a pit latrine in order to have safe water sources. And what about those areas which do not have water, but they have water sources, like the example of Awoja waters, which supplies all the districts in Teso with the water. The community themselves do not have the water access, but the water is taken very far. What do we do about it? The issue is bottom-up approach. Have we started from down? In this WASH, have we started from down, and have we talked to those women? Have we talked to the children? Because the children are the ones to take over from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. There's the Honorable behind him there.
Thank you, Moderator. I'm Sebi Kadijo MP Ntwetwe, Deputy Chairperson, WASH. WASH Forum. First of all, I would like to respond, however much Honorable Basil will respond on it. I was in 10th Parliament, and the then Honorable Minister Chwanda was for tourism, informed all of us registrators that because you have a public-private partnership, so he came to Parliament and informed us that whenever you see a road that was constructed long time ago, or being constructed could be Hoima Road, could be Jinja, could be Masaka, could be Mubende. What you do, go construct a fueling station, but put facilities that will make these tourists stay there for a while as they clean themselves, eating, having some relaxation, so that you can tap on this money. When you go on my road, I'm from Chankwanzi, you will see many fueling stations being constructed. You will see there are cafes,
cafes, yes.
Centers.
Yes.
They are being constructed within a radius of 30, 50 kilometers.
Yes.
So what I'm telling you, members of parliament and the colleagues who are here,
yes,
the government works with private institutions. You can go construct something, you'll see tourists, you'll see people who are moving on in buses, taxis, stopping at your place, giving you money, and then you tap on that thingy. But as government, we are also saying we should have public toilets on the highways,
all right,
and two, put even walkways so that people can walk and do that exercise.
Physical exercise.
It's part of health and environmental conservation,
yes,
by planting trees all over around. It's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Two,
yes,
as government, this is my chair now, but I was a deputy chair for the first year and second year. We put any maternity in Uganda that is being constructed has a borehole inside it for these mothers to get water as they are in the facility. So that one, as WASH Forum, we reached on it and it was resolved by Minister of Health. We have it now.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I honestly need to close this and allow them conclude before the VP walks in. The Honorable Joseph Midi, Dodoth North. Thank you for joining us, Honorable. Karibu. I want to invite, and I know Honorable Pio raised this, if we can give, we are being gender sensitive, whether we had someone from the Ministry of Health. Honorable, we do, and our Commissioner for Environment, Health Matters is here, Dr. Herbert Navasa, Commissioner Environmental Health at the Ministry of Health, and I'll ask him to speak before I come to the front. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Stella Isodo, Woman Member of Parliament, Ngora District in Teso Sub-Region. I want to appreciate the presentation by the panelists and the WASH partners who are available in the room. We always sing about time spent by women to go and collect water. I think it is high time we begin reflecting on how much time we are saving, what is the outreach of partners. I come from a district in between Mbale and Soroti, but people keep flying. They are in Mbale, they are in Soroti, maybe because the names of our districts are so small. When we talk about pit latrines in schools, not for girls not to talk about the changing rooms, we're talking about incinerators, that is too far away. We need to increase the stances, pit latrine stances at school and really target the girls. I beg to submit.
Thank you very much. Can I have Honorable, Dr. Navasa? Well, maybe soon to be Honorable, I don't know. These things change very quickly. He's here, Dr. Navasa, to interject on the issues of disposal and how the ministry is, putting this into place. Yes, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Morris. I just particularly want to respond to the issues raised by Honorable Pio. First of all, ministry here is present. To note that as a ministry, we have taken an integrated approach and a coordinated approach where we recently finished and we're about to launch a coordination roadmap for WASH, knowing and noting that WASH is a shared responsibility. We will not actually be WASH matters alone in a sector without using that whole of government approach, because it is a sector issue. It is an issue that cuts across. The line ministries that are under the Human Capital Development Program, we are doing our level best, but we want to appreciate our development partners and our implementing partners, especially today's convener, WaterAid. for noting and appreciating the role of coordination. And I think by taking it also a notch higher, to have a high engagement. First, by getting the office of the president and the office of the vice president being the champions of water. And this is one step towards ensuring that wash is highly taken care of at government level. And secondly, having a house that is highly interested in WASH matters. We know we have a committee, a forum on WASH, which is chaired by Honorable Silas. And I think many of you honorable members are members of that WASH forum. So we want to appreciate that. So coming to the issues raised by Honorable Pio, the issues of water in our hospitals are very, very scary because we are talking about, if we show you statistics, I don't know whether the statistics were presented earlier, but access to safe water in hospitals is very, very alarming. Healthcare waste management is alarming. Issues of sanitation in our hospitals is alarming. And of course, I will not mention the obvious issues in other places like communities, public places, and etc. The good news is that as the line ministries and as our partners, we are taking the issues of WASH very, very seriously. This engagement is one of those signs that we are taking issues of WASH seriously. We are looking at, for instance, innovating approaches of integration or integrated approach. For instance, at the Ministry of Health, we have the programs, let's say the Global Fund, the World Bank programs, and other programs. We have ensured that we integrate WASH in our hospitals in these programs. We have initiated the solar program, the solarization of our hospitals. So we have identified 200 hospitals or health facilities to have solar projects. And these solar projects are indeed supporting our very cold chain, but also we are integrating water in these solar programs so that we have solar-powered projects in our hospitals. But also too, much as the policies does discourage hospitals to have their water sources, I am not very sure. I think the PS is here. Maybe we may need to clarify on that. I am not sure whether the hospitals are discouraged by policy to put up their own water sources. For instance, they have roofs. I don't think there is a policy that will stop a hospital to have their own water source, to harvest their own water. And so as the members of parliament, we would like to encourage you as one of your outreaches to ensure that our facilities are encouraged to harvest the water as a gap, to ensure that they supplement the water. But also, we have been talking about incentivizing our WASH sector, right from the private sector, people who are involved in the WASH services, the sanitation products. Why don't we table a bill to ensure that we introduce incentives in the private sector? For instance, we know that all the medical products have that privilege where they are tax holidays or incentives. Now, people who are involved in sanitation products, the sewage treatment facilities, and the equipment and these vehicles, why do we really tax them so heavily? Why don't we as House introduce that aspect, Honorable Pio, that people who are involved in sanitation and WASH are also incentivized in terms of tax? We encourage them to trade in those services, and by way of doing that, we scale up the service provision.
All right.
Lastly, the aspect of the whole approach. Whole approach is that the responsibility of water, for instance, the responsibility of sanitation and hygiene, government cannot fund them exclusively and manage. And so the mindset change, we still see a lot of open defecation, for instance.
Yes.
Government cannot deploy resources to stop people from defecating in town and defecating near the water sources. So the aspect of mindset change, again, is a shared responsibility. The media have a role, the communities have a role, and the entire public sector have a role. So let's have work together to ensure that WASH is very well harmonized and prioritized for change.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nabasa. And I really appreciate all of you, including the members of parliament, for your interjections. And I honestly agree that you know, as the campaign says, WASH is everybody's business, everyone's business, and that's really why we are here. Unia, I want to start with you, and I'll probably have a minute for each of you, because as soon as the VP walks in, I'll have a problem, and I will not know how to conclude our conversation. So Unia, I'll start with you, then I'll come to Birungi, Martha, then finally Honorable Basil. So Unia, let's close this conversation. The successful approaches, you know, the network is undertaking to ensure that we have, or at least promote a gender-responsive WASH service and policy in Uganda.
Yeah, thank you, Maurice. Really, when it comes to successful approaches, I want, first of all, to appreciate government for enabling and giving the space for the civil society organizations to supplement on government efforts in ensuring that water and sanitation, you know, are availed to Ugandans. I want to start by one of our successful approach being that we are bridging the gap. Everyone that stood up, all the panelists, we all indicated and we are all acknowledging that there's a gap when it comes to water and sanitation in Uganda. So as civil society organizations, we are investing on average, an average of around 90 billion to, just last year, we recorded 117 billion invested by civil society organizations, and that is registered by a third of the CSOs that report. So there's so much more investment that we put in there. This investment goes in, you know, in partnership with private sector, in partnership with government, in partnership with our different development partners. And it's invested in healthcare facilities where we had the gappies, in the communities, in the schools, and also within the refugee context. The other key niche that we have is that as CSOs, we innovate. We come up with different innovations to address these gaps. The innovations that are aimed at addressing the gap of financing, where we have organizations like Water for People, water.org, partnering with private sector, with banks, you know, to unlock the financing that the banking institutions can help to bridge the gap of sanitation. We have different innovations in terms of approaches. For instance, as practitioners, we know that there's a challenge. The commissioner talked about the mindset change that needs to be done. It calls for so much sensitization and capacity building of the communities, but also for them to know that you don't have, when it comes to hygiene and sanitation in the home, it has to be you. So what is required to do that? So the approaches that are coming up, like market-based sanitation, where different organizations that include World Vision, AMREF, and also Water for People, in partnership with Ministry of Health and UWASNET, that we are promoting. Then, of course, where I come from, the role, the mandate of my organization, which is coordination, I think that has come up so strongly, where it's quite important that we coordinate the interventions by the different players in the country. First of all, to avoid duplication, but also to promote synergies and partnership, and to learn from each other, to promote scale-up. And through this coordination of service delivery, from there we sieve out the best practice, we sieve out the learning, we sieve out what are those issues that we need to now capitalize on and link to the national policies that are not effective. Then lastly, of course, as civil society organizations, we do so much, much of our business is at the local level. It's within the communities. And most of the time, we as most civil society organizations are not, you know, they come in, they're in and out. But we try to identify the community-based organizations that are based within the communities, but also the communities themselves, and we empower them. We build their capacity. We sensitize them of their roles as women when it comes to decision-making, when it comes to decentralizing the policies that the colleagues from the line ministries have been talking about, when it comes to their role, when it comes to sensitizing them the importance of embracing water and sanitation and hygiene, you know, within their communities and at their household.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Unia. We'll quickly move to Birungi. Birungi, clearly from the questions, you did take up quite a bulk of those. But we are aware the interventions, among the interventions the ministry has undertaken, even with the Ministry of Water, is the wash clubs that are very active now in the schools, which has become a critical component of your campaign within the primary and secondary schools. Speaking to your interventions in the first statement, where do we go from here? How do we activate those clubs to become your ambassadors? But also speak to some of the questions that were raised in the room for the Ministry of Education.
Thank you very much, moderator. First of all, education is supposed to be a shared responsibility. All key stakeholders have to come together and play their different roles. So it is everyone's business in education. The innovative approaches we are doing to upscale WASH in schools. We've trained our senior men teachers and men teachers on their roles and responsibilities. And one of them is to ensure that we form clubs to play innovative roles at school level. We are also using innovative activities like, for example, music, dance, and drama as a channel of disseminating critical messages about WASH. Right now, we're having music, dance, and drama in the primary and secondary schools. And one of our themes for primary, for example, we are looking at climate change. We are looking at toilets making the grade, and our teachers have innovatively taught our children and the public how we can actually improve on issues of sanitation and hygiene. The school health policy is almost at the final stage, and once it's approved, a lot is going to be done in schools. This is a system strengthening issue. We are looking at collaboration because our partners are doing a lot in the schools out there. We need to work together and ensure that we avoid duplication. We are aware that some local governments don't have partners, so as we come together, I know we can share these interventions throughout the entire country. In terms of program monitoring, we need to work as a team. All key stakeholders, right from national level down up to village level, we need to work together to show that we improve on this aspect of WASH in schools. And then we've conducted the menstrual hygiene management situation analysis to inform planning and guidance of our key stakeholders. And lastly, we are trying to train our teachers on the 3-star approach. This approach uses simple and scalable, innovative ways of upgrading and improving WASH in schools. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Birungi. Martha, as you address maybe some of the components of the plenary session we had, which include, of course, the coordination across the different ministries, there was the question on infrastructure being critical in the provision of the WASH services, and we're wondering what initiatives the ministry has undertaken to improve the WASH infrastructure in rural and underserved areas. That speaks to the question, or at least the intervention from one of the private sector players on whether you are looking at more affordable options to pumping of water in the communities that are available in the market.
Thank you very much. Regarding the issue of maintenance and sustainability of WASH infrastructure that has been put in place, I think the starting point is really the kind of infrastructure that we put up. As government, we are ensuring standardization of the kind of infrastructure that we put up regarding WASH, so that when it comes to the operation and maintenance, the ball has already been set rolling. That's where we start. Do we have the right infrastructure in place? Because when we do not, that's when we start our problems. I'm sure you realize that if we have infrastructure that has been put up badly, part of our problems start right there. That if we have boreholes that have been fitted, for example, with poor quality materials, they will constantly break down. So as government, we want to standardize that, and we are promoting the use of quality products during installation of these water supply systems. But we also have utilities that we have put up as government. National Water is a utility organization. It's across the whole country. But also we have the umbrella organizations. These support operation and maintenance of water systems that have been installed in large towns, in rural growth centers, but also some rural areas. We have some pipe systems in rural areas, but that's not to forget our point water sources. Those are also still there. We have also been relying largely on communities under the community-based maintenance system. It has its benefits, but it has also its challenges and weaknesses. It's still limping because it relies largely on the spirit of voluntarism, and that has continuously died out in our communities. Now we realize that and have come up with a framework to professionalize even the management of such point water systems in rural areas, to make them more sustainable, so that we have a service that is continuous and available for the users, especially the women. We are here to speak about the issues of women and WASH. Yes, when the services are not sustainable, it goes back to inconvenience the women even the more. On the part of public sanitation, we have guidelines that are in place for management of public sanitation. And indeed we have a framework as government that has assessed the whole of this country to see at which points we can place these highway public sanitation facilities to respond to the need of travelers, but also eliminate the practice of open defecation, where travelers just stop and the buses offload and people run into the bush. So we are in advanced stages of mobilizing resources to address that need, and we shall require the participation of the private sector, of civil society organizations, because as government we may not have all the resources to implement this, but that's why we are all here. We have a stone to contribute, we have a part to play in this regard as we increase access to sanitation in our homes, but also in public spaces like that. So government has a framework where everyone can be able to participate and play a role in that regard. We are promoting appropriate technologies that are easy to maintain, but also do not put a big burden on the users who have to pay a user fee for accessing the water supply, the water supplies. For example, people have to pay some money to be able to use water which is clean. It has been cleaned, it has been put in pipes to bring it closer. So there is money that the user will have to pay. Government sets tariffs for that, and they are made as affordable as possible based on the kind of inputs that go into these processes. But also we are making sure that these systems are systems that can be maintained by our local capacities, that we have people out there in the communities in form of plumbers, in form of masons, in form of technicians that can actually work and support these systems to keep running. That when a pump breaks down, we do not have to keep calling a technician from India to fly in and come and repair it. So there is a mechanism to have that in place, but we're also building local capacity in our communities. For example, the hand pump mechanics, these are working well to improve the operation and maintenance of the boreholes especially, but also working with these training schools like technical institutes that are churning out experts that we need for the sector. But on the sanitation side, we are also working with masons in the communities and other value chain actors to build their capacity. And in that, we are also interesting women to come into this non-traditional space so that they can also make a contribution in the sanitation value chain. And we have adopted the market-based sanitation approach, where we are really embarking on enlisting support from the private sector to take care of the supply side of the sanitation chain, so that people are able to have facilities, services and goods that are affordable, that are easy to install, but also we have the local capacity within the communities to be able to support the communities to install these, that someone doesn't have to come from another district, but we have local capacity and technicians to come. And we are also working to make sure that these services and facilities we put in place are resilient and they're not going to break down because they have experienced a climate change event like a flood or another event that has caused a bit of instability, that they're able to bounce back and continue offering the service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martha. And finally, Honorable Basil. Honorable, in case we are affected when there's the arrival of the VP, I will gladly or unfortunately stop you. But go ahead, Honorable Basil.
Thank you very much. I am sitting in for Honorable Egon Silas, who is the chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on WASH activities, and therefore I want to apologize for his absence. Two, on the issues that were raised, Independent Minister for Sanitation, no. We are rationalizing. All we need is to improve the functioning of the Department of Sanitation. But the VP can answer better for me. Actors who need support from government, yes, this is true. The executive and the legislature will work in hand together to make sure that all actors in the WASH activities that need support are supported. Boy child, yes, yes, yes. The boy child should be integrated in WASH activities. Public toilets, public-private partnership has been alluded to by Honorable Sebkari, and it's the way to go. Maternity care as part of WASH activities in health facilities, it has been alluded to, and we need to put a lot of effort in it. Solar-powered panels to aid water hand pumps. This is an area that should be invested in very quickly, and I think the faster we propagate it and talk about it widely and disseminate it to the rural areas, the better to assist our women and girls who suffer with those hand pumps. And lastly, Parliament has already a bill on water harvesting and storage has been, it is water harvesting and storage bill 2022, it has been hanging, has already been introduced, and we expect all the stockholders to kindly support us to make sure this is supported and passed with the prerequisite requirements that will help support WASH activities. And then finally, all stakeholders in this should know that the salary of a member of parliament is a source of financing. At least 1/5 of this salary is a source of financing for WASH activities in their constituencies. So the MPs do finance WASH activities. However, they need to be relieved from this. And therefore, whichever stakeholder is here, I would call upon them to visit my constituency and make sure that WASH activities are supported, especially in ensuring that the environment, which is the key supporter to WASH activities, is protected and sustainably held and reserved for future generations of the youth I represent as senior youth.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Can we appreciate our panel, ladies and gentlemen? I see a bit of movement, so I'm just hopeful that in a few minutes, please stay seated, just in case I am buying myself more time. So there was a couple of questions online, and I'm hoping the team will share those online questions. But we have Kasaga who asked, and is an information officer, and this can be shared, Martha, whether it's to the ministry on, and also maybe the Ministry of Health, but also I think it's a local government question on hotels that are digging wells, but not to draw water, but to dispose fecal material, and how we are able to deal with that. I don't know where that would fall. Martha, you'd let me know whether it goes to somebody else. And then this is on schools Birunji. Most schools have water purifier points, but we still see cases of typhoid in the schools on the rise. And we have also seen, I'm sure those of you who visit on visitation, that the biggest component of the parents' grab is water. And we are asking, how do we, since we're addressing the issue of inequality, because there will be those parents who can't afford to carry packed water, how do we address this issue in schools, Birunji, by providing purified water, but water that is actually clean and can be used by all students in school, so that we reduce the burden on the parents who are carrying bottled water? All right, Martha, where do we start from on the issue of hotels and digging their own wells, not necessarily to harvest water or at least to pump water into their system, but are disposing fecal material into the wells instead?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to inform the House that a well is not a recognized waste disposal technology. It isn't. It is not a recognized waste disposal technology, especially for fecal waste. Why? Because it moves the waste away from the surface and brings it even closer to the water table, causing the contamination even greater and more widespread. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's an illegal method, and as government, we do not allow it, and I'm sure even the people who do it know that it is illegal, and they do it in hiding. Having said that, I want to speak to the issue of enforcement, that it's an issue that we must all come together to uphold. As government, we may not go it alone, and we cannot go it alone because it is the community people who know where these people are polluting. You know the polluters. You know that a Hotel X is actually doing something like that, and the government may not be in position to tell immediately until they are informed by the neighborhood, by other people that are surrounding this facility. So I will call upon the arms of government, especially the local governments that are charged with this issue of enforcement. I'm sure NEMA would pick that up as well. But going back to the real issue, that's an illegal act, and we wouldn't really accept it as government, and such a hotel would require to be dealt with instantly and such a nuisance abated. But I will ask also Dr. Kalist to comment briefly about the issue of IWRM regarding waste management and people who dispose waste, and how they can get waste discharge permits and how they can be brought to book, and they can contribute to the abatement of pollution.
All right. Thank you. Birunji, as you answer the other question, in case time allows, Dr. Kalist, the mic will come. Yes, go ahead, Birunji.
Thank you very much. We need to have water purifiers in schools. It is very right. But as I told you, education is a shared responsibility. We need the aspect of community engagement, where parents and other key stakeholders play their roles. But we have one organization called Water and Life from Korea. They signed the MOU with the government, and they are going to provide water purifiers, starting with Greater Kampala this very year. But they have intentions of covering all the schools in Uganda. I thank you.
All right. If Dr. Kalist's mic can get to him very quickly, Dr. Kalist, in case the chief guest arrives, you will just hand over to me. Dr. Kalist, very quickly. Dr. Kalist, is also the question here from an online participant, More Blessings Chidwase, Regional Advocacy Manager, WaterAid South Africa, on sexual exploitation at water points. How are we going about addressing those offenders?
Thank you very much. A few issues that have been raised. I don't have much time to talk about them, but if you look at the issues of water, sanitation, and hygiene around water sources, of course, we are now looking at an integrated approach, that you are not going to address water issues without looking at the whole system. What happens on a water source? Some of the pollution actually is caused by what is taking place around the water source. Some situation we find that the bit latrine is constructed just near water source. And when you pump water, you're actually drawing from a pit latrine. So you can promote sanitation, and at the same time, you pollute the water. The issue of constructing wells and then people are discharging waste under there, you're actually directly polluting the water. And these are things that we should fight. And of course, as colleagues have mentioned, government cannot be everywhere. That's why we need to raise awareness so that people can know these bad practices and be able to take action. With respect, of course, to challenges around the water source, that's why we are trying to bring water closer to the people so that you can actually avoid those situations. I think the video was very clear that people would actually wear girls when they are coming from a water source.
I'll apologize, Commissioner. May we stand, ladies and gentlemen, and receive our chief guest. We want to welcome Her Excellency, the Vice President. Can we give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as she joins us? You're most welcome, Your Excellency. We thank you so much for joining us, and we are excited to have you here with us at this launch. I'll ask that we remain seated. We'll have the three anthems, and we'll remain standing. We will remain standing for the anthems. So we will have the Uganda national anthem and the East African anthem. Please do remain standing, and then I will let you know when to sit. So may we remain standing for the anthems. Anthems, please. Please do take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. I'll invite my panelists to take their seats. Honorable, you will have to return to the former seat, not this one. Now, and request, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's appreciate our panel. Can we appreciate them? I want to thank Unia, Martha Birungi, and of course, Honorable Basil, for sharing your insights into the conversation we're having this morning. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Her Excellency Jessica Lupo, it's indeed an honor and pleasure to have you here with us. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, may we appreciate Her Excellency, the Vice President, for joining us. I will try and run through a bit of protocol. Your Excellency, we have members of Parliament, and I want to request the members of Parliament to stand. Please stand for recognition. Your Excellency, it's a full house of members of Parliament, and we are happy that they joined us, and these are part of our WASH actors. Your Excellency, we have the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water and Environment, Alfred Okoto-Kidi, who's representing the Minister in the sector. And of course, we have representatives of the other ministries that work with WaterAid in addressing matters of WASH. So allow me, without particular order, to recognize the Ministry of Health, that is represented here by one of the commissioners representing, of course, the ministry, Dr. Nabasa. And I also want to recognize the Ministry of Education that is represented here by Mr. Birungi Musa, who is one of our commissioners in the Ministry of Education. But Your Excellency, the Ministry of Water is well represented. I want to request all the commissioners and assistant commissioners in the ministry, please stand. Dr. Kalist Margaret Mwebesa is here, and of course, our very own Engineer Yatu, who will be addressing us. Thank you so much, commissioners, and the other leaders in the Ministry of Water and Environment. Honorable Minister, we have key stakeholders. Among them is the UNHCR, and we have the Deputy Country Representative UNHCR, Jason Hepps. We want to thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Your Excellency, Vice President, we have the Wash family. And of course, in the lead is our convener, WaterAid Uganda. Dr. Joyce, please stand for recognition. And she's the lead WASH actor here in this room. But I want to request all the WASH actors, please stand for recognition. All our partners and stakeholders, stand for recognition so that the Vice President can see that we are well represented. All these are WASH actors, and they are part of the partners of WaterAid in this conversation. Your Excellency, we want to thank you for joining us and for later today launching the WASH is Everyone's Business campaign. And we want to thank you for joining us this morning. I want to take the singular honor and pleasure and Your Excellency to invite Dr. Joyce Mpalanyi Magala, the Country Director of WaterAid Uganda, who will make her welcoming remarks on this campaign. And then I will invite Engineer Yatu, who will make our keynote address on access to gender-responsive WASH services and its impact on women and girls in Uganda. May we, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Joyce Mpalanyi Magala to come and make her statement. You're welcome. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Our chief guest, Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, members of Parliament, development partners, representatives of the civil society organizations, representatives of the ministries, departments and agencies, representatives of local governments, representatives of the private sector, media partners present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to welcome you to the launch of the WASH is Everyone's Business campaign on behalf of WaterAid Uganda. I am the Country Director for WaterAid Uganda. Our current 5-year strategy aims to catalyze collective efforts to transform lives through sustainable and safe water, sanitation, hygiene, that we abbreviate as WASH. Collaboration with both state and non-state WASH actors is crucial to achieving this goal. Why should WASH be everyone's business? We all know access to gender-responsive WASH services is a pressing challenge in Uganda, as we have heard during the panel discussion this morning. We must collectively address this to promote equality and meet the Sustainable Development Goal Target 6. We committed to the SDG Target 6.1 as a country that we shall achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all by 2030. How many years are we left to get to 2030? We committed to Target 6.2 that we will achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene for all and end open defecation, with special attention to the needs of women, girls, and vulnerable groups by 2030. We are just left with 6 years to 2030. In the education sector, inadequate WASH services negatively impact learning outcomes, particularly for girls who may drop out of or miss school during menstruation periods. Women and adolescent girls in communities often are responsible for water collection, face gender-based violence risks due to the time spent collecting water. The Uganda Demographic Health Survey report 2022 indicates that 25.5% of households spend more than 30 minutes on round trips to collect water. That is time really lost. In communities, women and adolescent girls, due to their social roles as water collectors, are at risk of gender-based violence due to the time spent collecting water. And in the health sector, inadequate wash services disproportionately affect women who are the primary caregivers and a significant part of the workforce, exposing them to healthcare-associated infections. Treating the health-associated infections costs Uganda approximately $123 million, which accounts for 7.9% of our total health expenditure. And this was a study conducted by WaterAid and the World Bank in 2022. It's a very recent study. Therefore, against this background, WaterAid Uganda, together with our partners, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, Water for People, IRC WASH, Oxfam in Uganda, USAID, and UNICEF have collectively and jointly designed the Wash is Everyone's Business campaign under the theme, Wash Away Inequality, Access to Water, Sanitation and Hygiene for every woman and every girl. Our goal is to advocate for and amplify the voices for a full year to scale up access to gender-responsive wash services for women and girls in Uganda. I commend the efforts of the government of Uganda, Your Excellency, and our development partners in addressing wash challenges. However, climate change and limited physical space threaten the financing and provision of climate-resilient wash services. Your Excellency, WaterAid Uganda, together with the campaign partners, urge the government of Uganda to prioritize financing for gender-responsive wash service delivery nationwide. We urge the government of Uganda to strengthen monitoring and accountability for wash service delivery, especially at the local government level. And third, we urge the government of Uganda to collaborate with non-state wash actors to raise awareness and increase citizen engagement in demanding improved access to gender-responsive wash services for women and girls in Uganda. Your Excellency, thank you for honoring our invitation and participating at this critical, very important launch of the Wash is Everyone's Business campaign. WaterAid Uganda looks forward to collaborating with all of you during this campaign. Thank you very much for God and my country.
Once again, can we appreciate our convener, WaterAid Uganda? Your Excellency, the WaterAid has key partners for this particular campaign, and I want in a very, very special way to recognize IRC WASH, who are here in the room. IRC, if you can stand for recognition, IRC. And we also have Water for People, and I want to recognize Water for People team that is represented here, so thank you so much. I want to now take the pleasure of inviting our Commissioner, Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Department, the Minister of Water and Environment, Engineer Yatu Joseph, to come and make his presentation. Your Excellency, he has been briefed. He has to keep it extremely short and interesting. And he says he gets the memo. So I understand I will not have to come and stop him.
Thank you very much, Maurice, for those warm words. Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major Jessica Lupo, the honorable members of parliament present here, and in a special way, I would like to recognize the chair of the WASH Forum, who's ably represented here, the Permanent Secretary and Minister of Water and Environment, Mr. Alfred Okoto Kidi, the country representatives of CSOs, UN agencies, and all leaders of the CSOs, colleagues from line ministries, press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like you to join me in a special way to recognize Her Excellency, the Vice President. I'm sure when you're walking here, you saw many pictures of our past involvement in WASH and other things. And I think she's been a great champion for WASH. So I would like us to put our hands together to really recognize her role and what she has been doing for WASH. And we thank you, Your Excellency, for always being there for WASH in a special way. The second team of people I would like to recognize. The WASH Forum in Parliament was started by MPs themselves to try to advocate for WASH, and they have been making very special interventions in the House, which have supported to promote WASH. So I would also request you to put your hands together to thank the MPs who have gone all out of the call of duty to talk about WASH as something they're passionate about. It is my honor and great privilege, as already mentioned earlier, to share with you on this lounge. I know when they introduced me as Commissioner of Raw Water, Supply and Sanitation Department, but that's not complete for me. I've been working there for the last 33 years, where I joined as a young engineer up to now. But once you introduce me, talk about, I'm very passionate about WASH for poor communities. When we talk about poor communities and you go the wrong direction, we'll definitely debate it. I'm also very passionate about sanitation, especially hand washing with soap, because it's a very key driver for prevention of many diseases, and I've been sharing that for a while. And lastly, climate change. We cannot talk about WASH and reaching everyone without talking about climate change. Climate change has reversed our achievements, and I'm one of the lead negotiators for adaptation in the UN conferences every year. So I want all of us to think about climate change as a big factor. It reverses our developments, it washes the toilets we have constructed, and even the facilities are submerged, and so many other things that's doing to our climate. It's also my definitely privilege to give a keynote address about this subject, because it's not only essential and transformative, but also very dear to my heart. Water, sanitation, and hygiene are indeed everyone's business, as our theme says, whose importance can best be understood by the absence or lack thereof in our lives. Water is life. It's the most basic of human needs. Yet for many around the world, access to clean water remains a distant dream. Sanitation is dignity. Every individual deserves a clean and safe environment, yet billions of people live without these basic amenities. Hygiene is health. Simple practices like hand washing with soap can prevent a host of diseases and save countless lives. Together, these elements form the cornerstone of a thriving, healthy, and productive economy and society. This campaign is critical and timely because the situation is still undesirable, miserable, and alarming in some places. The statistics are stark. Let me repeat this. The statistics are stark. According to the latest GMP report, globally 115 million people still use water from contaminated water bodies. 419 million people practice open defecation, and 653 million totally lack hygiene facilities. The situation in Uganda is not any better, with over 14,000 villages, representing about 21% of our villages. We have about 72,000 villages. We don't have a safe water source, not even one for drinking water. And 8.4 million people amongst us, I want to say amongst us, where Ugandans still practice open defecation. That's about 19% of our population. The impact on health, education, and economic development is profound. Yet these challenges are not insurmountable. Because it seems difficult doesn't make it impossible. I believe you are all here because you believe it's possible to change the statistics. We start with our country. With the collective will and concerted action, we can turn the tide for the better. So what's the big question? Why should WASH be everyone's business? I think that's why we're here. We want to know. I'm going to give you 3 reasons that I feel are very key. 1, WASH is a shared responsibility. It's a multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder, and touches several facets of our lives, including our health, our productivity, our environment. When we recognize that these issues impact us all, we become more interested in finding solutions. It therefore calls for collective action. As government leading agencies, I'm also happy to announce that since I started working in the water sector, this is the best time we have had the strongest working relations between Minister of Water and Environment, Minister of Health, Minister of Education, and the CSOs on WASH issues. Can we give a big clap? It's the best ever, and I'm not ashamed to say so. But I also want to remind us that the last 2 weeks, for us to appreciate that WASH is everybody's responsibility. Who doesn't know about what happened in Kitezi? We all know. Who doesn't know that we have garbages in our compound, in our roads? We all know. May the souls of those who lost their lives rest in eternal peace. In UK, in London, it took hundreds of years, but in July, August 1858, there was the London Great Stink, where the whole of city of London was stinking. Do we want that to happen to our country, to our city now? No, I think it's all our responsibility to address this. The second thing I want to think, which I think is the big question, is WASH requires and also needs community empowerment. Effective changes start at the grassroots levels. I'm happy the MPs are here. Soon they'll be going looking for votes. By involving every individual, community, and organization, we harness local knowledge and resources. Everyone has a role to play, whether it's advocating for better facilities, educating others on hygiene practices, or supporting policies that promote equitable access. We all address funerals. Of course, now I'm talking to you. All of you are going to, I've already talked about looking for votes. All of you are leaders. Do we add in our speech something about WASH? If you didn't, and you want something to talk about it, we can give you a paragraph or 2 that you can always refer to, so that we all talk the same voice. The third thing, the need for sustainability. True progress and improvement in WASH requires long-term and commitment. By making it everyone's business, we ensure that solutions are not only implemented, but also maintained and adapted to meet evolving needs. It's a commitment to sustainability and resilience. Recently, we got a request from many districts about PDM. PDM is a big program that government is implementing. But we got over 6,800 enterprises that need water to make sure they are achieved, and we're working with them. These are all factors which will help sustainability of our system, because if the community is empowered, we believe the systems will be sustained. In order to make a difference, all of us should participate in the following, and I'm going to give you 4 things that we should do, or we may do. Advocacy and awareness creation. Awareness is the first step. Educate yourself and others about the importance of WASH. Advocate for policies and practices that support access to clean water, safe sanitation, and hygiene education. This must be done continuously to achieve mindset change. Eventually prioritization, but must be backed by facts and figures. That's why I'm very grateful to WaterAid for bringing us here to advocate for WASH. I think that's good. We can always give them a big hand clap. Thank you very much, because advocacy is very key for us. The second thing is, let's support local initiatives. Collaboration with local organizations and initiatives that are making strides in WASH is very key. Your support can amplify these impacts and contribute to more effective solutions. Let's support this irrespective of how you think, politically, ideologically, and otherwise. Sometimes when it comes to elections, we divide ourselves, even on common things like WASH. It's my urgent appeal to all the players. Let's follow up and support any effort by CSO, doesn't matter who brought it, but we look for the common cause. Third, promote best practices and standards operating procedures. Implement and share best practices in your own communities. And if you need us to support you, we'll always come. Simple actions like hand washing with soap and maintaining clean facilities can have a ripple effect. As the Minister of Water and Environment, we have set up the appropriate technology center, which is picking up any best practices, and we'll work together with you to make sure we promote it. My fourth area of intervention is foster partnerships through engagement at both state and non-state actors, such as government agencies, NGOs, business and private sector, and community leaders. Partnerships are key to scaling up efforts, achieving broader impact, and sustaining results. We should recognize in a special way the private sector has come. I think Uganda Breweries Limited, Airtel, I could mention a few, WaterAid. Our religious leaders, traditional leaders have all come to join us in these efforts. And we appreciate, I know more of you, I have not mentioned the whole list, who have now gone out of their way to make sure they support WASH activities, and we are very grateful. When we watch the video, Your Excellency, unfortunately, you did not have that privilege. I was noting a few things, and I know all of you noted. Some things have been talked about, but I noted some things which I wanted us to really be passionate about. One, there's a lady there, she's carrying another Ugandan in her stomach, but she's walking to the well to carry a 20-liter jerrycan, and she comes back. In Uganda, we made it normal that people should walk 1 kilometer to collect water. We must change this thinking and forget about it. Our neighbors have already called hand pumps as emergency water supply. Tanzania has already defined it in their policies that use of hand pumps is emergency water supply. For us, it's a basic water supply. The sooner we recognize that walking with water on your head is not a norm, then the better. But as the Minister of Water and Environment, what have we done? I want to give you just one example. We are doing many. These are targeting just rural communities. Of course, for urban, you can say you've been getting piped water. Together with the Indian Exim Bank, which is a program we're implementing in the sub-counties with less than 50% coverage, we're going to construct about 50 large schemes, and we're going to reach 460,000 people with piped water. We're also going to reach 600 villages, 80 parishes, and 22 with just $35 million US. So that's why I challenged you earlier on that this looks difficult, but it's not impossible. If we put our resources focused to that, we also have other projects, IWMDP, where we're focusing. We're going to construct close to 25 water schemes. And each one of these serves at minimum 10 villages with piped water systems. So it's our main aim that, in line with our Vision 2040, which says every household should have a point water source. That means a stand post or something in the compound. This is fast coming. We're very comfortable if we could, by 2030, reach 50%. When we started on this journey of piping rural communities, about 10 years ago, we were at 11%. But I'm also happy to announce that we are now at 25% of the rural people who are actually accessing water through pipe systems. But if in 2030 we could reach 50, then 2040 would be within reach for us to achieve that everybody in Uganda would not have to walk 1 kilometer. It's everyone's WASH is everyone's business. I'm sure you're reading that in my back. Keep reading it. If we all do the few things I've stated. In conclusion, Morris might start sounding a bell for me. This campaign on water, sanitation, and hygiene is not just a call to action. It's a call to solidarity, commitment, and collective impact. It's a reminder that each of us has a stake in ensuring that every individual, everywhere, has access to these basic necessities. By working together, we can create a world where clean water flows sustainably, sanitation is universally accessible, and hygiene practices are a common norm. Let us embark on this journey with a shared vision and a commitment to making a tangible difference. Together, we can turn our collective will into lasting changes and build a future where WASH is truly everyone's business. Your Excellency, before I conclude, I just want to comment on one or two things that have been raised by the members who are here. One is on the water and sanitation committees and gender. We actually monitor that as one of our key indicators. And as a bare minimum, we have a policy on gender, and I definitely wish to share with especially honorable members. It's a slightly big document which focuses that for any water and user committee, for the key positions, if the chairman is a lady, then the vice will be a man. And then the secretary is either. The treasurer, we have said, because of the effect we have had with men, somebody talked about men using money in different ways. We say that is strictly for ladies. And all our water user committees, the treasurers are ladies, because we found they are better keepers of our resources. And our educators are doing very well. I think last year we had 87%. I know there are a few places, Honorable, that might be one of them in your village, but we are at 87% of the committees that we have that are already meeting that goal. We'll work with you to make sure that we reach all those committees. On solar powered, yes, it's a policy that we're moving now. Even the grant, we have allocated more than 50% of the grant to only pipe system. We're slowly moving away from hand pumps because we feel people should concentrate more on economic activities through the PDM and other programs as opposed to spending time in the well. With those few many words, I would like to thank you that we have all come together for WASH as everybody's business. I thank you for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Engineer Eyatu. Your Excellency, we have amongst us also some of our international partners. We have Oxfam, Uganda, Oxfam here in Uganda. The country director is here, Francis Ashanti Odokorach. Please stand for recognition. Thank you so much. We are also working, Your Excellency, with UNICEF in Uganda. And of course, the program will have several other stakeholders supported by the development partners, including USAID and others. Honorable, Your Excellency, the honorable members of Parliament were extremely very involved in this conversation this morning. Before you came, I must say that they raised some critical areas for intervention. The Honorable Basil was the one representing the team on the panel, and we raised some critical issues with him also. And most importantly was the issue of the budget and appropriation that goes to the WASH sub-program. The recent statistics do show that that particular program continues to get dwindling resources year on year in the financial budget. In the financial year, I think 24-25, they raised the fact that it's even less than it was last financial year. And that's critical because a lot is being done by all the sector players, the Minister of Water, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Health, in providing access to water, but also addressing issues of sanitation and hygiene in our communities. And I know the Honorable Basil will speak to you at some point. They say that you need to be the ambassador for the budget to go up, not down, going forward. So, Your Excellency, I needed to pass that one. That one was a critical one I picked from the conversation. And they say if that goes along, that budget will go a long way in supporting the infrastructure, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water, and of course the Ministry of Education are putting in place to support our children, especially the women and the girls in this conversation. So I think Dr. Joyce have done some of your work. Okay. I want to now take the singular honor and pleasure of inviting our Permanent Secretary, the Minister of Water and Environment, to come, make his remarks. And thereafter, Your Excellency, he will invite you to address this August House and launch this program. You're welcome, PS. Can we welcome the Permanent Secretary?
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major retired Jessica Lupo, the members of Parliament, representatives of development partners, the Regional Director of WaterAid East Africa, representatives of government ministries, departments, and agencies, representatives of local governments, partners from the civil society organizations, and partners from the private sector entities, the press, participants in your distinguished capacities. First and foremost, join me in thanking the Vice President for giving us a time and passionate being the supporter for WASH. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It is my pleasure to join you today in this holistic event to launch the WASH is Everyone's Business campaign under the theme, Wash Away Inequality, Access to Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene for every woman and girl. And it is a worthy choice because that is where the most vulnerable sector of our country is. The campaign, which aims to amplify voices and action towards scaling up access and provision of gender-responsive wash services for women and girls, is very much welcome by the ministry. This is also in line with our objectives, the National Resistance Movement Manifesto, Sustainable Development Goal 6, and African Union Agenda 2063. The Ministry of Water and Environment is cognizant of the importance of investments in WASH in relation to our development aspirations. To date, significant progress has been made by the government of Uganda in improving access to water to rural and the underserved communities. The recent Uganda Health Demographic Report 2022 shows that 88.3% of urban dwellers and 81.4% of rural dwellers have access to water from improved sources, while 34.1% of the households are using improved sanitation facilities. Government's commitment is to ensure every village has a clean and reliable water source, as enshrined in the NRM Manifesto. I would like to remind you that climate change remains a huge threat to addressing inequalities to access to wash services in Uganda. This is because climate change exacerbates both water scarcity and water-related hazards, such as floods and droughts, which can have devastating impacts on communities. It is my appeal, therefore, that the campaign focuses on advocating for the delivery of climate-resilient wash facilities. As we look at WASH, we need to address environmental degradation, adapt to climate change, and manage our catchments better. As a ministry, we are making strides to ensuring that government ministries, department agencies, and local government adhere to and mainstream climate change interventions in their respective budgets, plans, and policies. WASH is a catalyst for household income creation. I'm delighted that WaterAid Uganda, together with its partners, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, Water for People, IRC WASH, Oxfam in Uganda, USAID, and UNICEF have designed this campaign. As a ministry, we hope you will mobilize more WASH actors at national and subnational level to join in. Hygiene and sanitation is not just about dignity and health, but wealth when properly implemented. Therefore, with other challenges facing the sector, notwithstanding, my ministry commit to, 1, accelerating inclusive access to safely manage water and sanitation services in both rural and urban areas to reach out to the underserved population. We would also, 2, collaborate with partners to ensure that the campaign achieves its overall goal of addressing inequalities and improving access to to gender-responsive wash services. 3, scale up partnerships and collaboration through ongoing initiatives under the National Development Plan 4, which is in the making. 4, implement innovative financing solutions for WASH. The Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education has developed standards concerning infrastructure development that incorporates WASH. And I believe going forward, we'll see smart schools, smart health centers that have WASH facilities appropriate for our learners and the patients. I call upon all partners present here today to join hands with government to realize these commitments in the remaining 6 years of implementing sustainable development goals. WASH, as I mentioned, is a source of wealth creation at household level and is critical for economic transformation of our country. With these remarks, I wish to wish all of you successful implementation of the campaigns. It is now my single honor to invite Her Excellency, Major Retired Jessica Lubo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, to come and address us and launch WASH is Everyone's Business campaign. Thank you for God and my country.
Please take your seats. The honorable members of parliament present, the representatives of development partners. I saw the deputy director of UNHCR outside when he was welcoming me and the team, the regional director, WaterAid East Africa, representatives of government ministries, departments and agencies. Some people say senior government officials, I think led by the PS himself, representatives of local governments, representatives of civil society organizations, representatives of private sector entities, members of the media, distinguished participants, all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I first want to thank my sister for the enlightenment she came to give me in my office with her team about this day. And also thank the partners for involving me for a very long time now in the WASH campaigns. You have ever taken me to Munyonyo, you have ever taken me to National Water and Sewerage Corporation, and many other areas, I think even Entebbe, to do activities of WASH, and I have always come willingly. And I want to thank the director of ceremonies because he's always the one who is there whenever there is a WASH activity. I think there is an element of constancy in this WASH campaign. And he does it so well, with passion. Maurice Mugisha, thank you very much. But I would also like to underscore the importance of Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Water and Environment coming together to partner with the development partners and civil society organization on the WASH campaign. When you work with Ministry of Education, you are directly interacting with millions of children and students and educationists, and therefore the outcomes are highly achievable. Then when you interact with Ministry of Health, then you are involving everybody again, because when you talk about sanitation, water, safe water, sanitation and hygiene, you are dealing with issues of preventive health, which is a big pillar in the Ministry of Health, and it is actually the first pillar in light of the health service delivery. And the Ministry of Water and Environment are the owners of everything. But also in the Ministry of Education, I don't know whether there are people here from education. I saw one who was very young when I was the minister. Now he's old, I cannot even identify him well. They used to tell me that water is an instructional material in an education institution. You can't do without it. Maybe what I can add is that when I was a Minister of State for Youth, there was also a department of occupational health hazards for workers in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. You may need to have a study on whether or not you should bring on board Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development in light of that particular department. But when we talk about the advantages of water and the range of the impacts across the economy, you can speak about them until cows come back home. But I am also very happy that this one is specifically on safety, hygiene, and also helping the population to save time, especially those in rural areas that take long looking for water instead of doing other economic productive activities. So I like the theme. I like the way you explained to me in the office, and I have come with a very short message because you gave me all the education I needed in the office. So therefore, I am delighted to join WaterAid Uganda today with its partners, Uganda Water and Sanitation Network, Water for People, IRC WASH, Oxfam in Uganda, USAID and UNICEF today at the launch of the WASH is Everyone's Business campaign under the theme, Wash Away Inequality, Access to Water, Sanitation and Hygiene for Every Woman and Girl. Access to water, sanitation and hygiene, ladies and gentlemen, plays a key role in our national development agenda and addressing inequalities. I am glad this campaign aims to advocate and amplify voices of scaling up access and provision of gender-responsive wash services for women and girls in Uganda. The National Resistance Movement, under the leadership of His Excellency, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has prioritized socio-economic transformation, for instance, the creation of jobs, wealth, etc. This is evident in the huge investment by the NRM government in the people of Uganda through prioritization of infrastructure, healthcare, education, water, sanitation and hygiene under Ministry of Water and Environment, and in the last financial year, 10 trillion Uganda shillings was allocated to these priorities, slightly over 10 trillion Uganda shillings. Members of Parliament, you will bear me witness, as it has already been prophesied that they need to have it grow and not come down. We shall endeavor to stand firm by that proposal. I'm aware that inadequate access to gender-responsive wash services negatively impacts on women and girls. This has partly contributed to the learners dropping out of school, exposed women at risk of gender-based violence due to the time spent to collect water, which could have been spent on the other productive economic activities. Therefore, addressing these barriers to access to WASH will call for our collective action from both the government and development partners to address issues of infrastructure deficits, cultural norms in our communities and institutions. The NRM government is committed to ensuring that we achieve universal access to WASH as stipulated in the Sustainable Development Goal 6. To date, the water coverage in rural areas is now estimated at 67% and 73% in urban areas across the country. Out of 71,225 villages, 617 villages have been served with at least one safe water source by government. Government is committed to addressing the inequalities and investing in WASH infrastructure, particularly in the underserved communities, schools, and healthcare facilities. On the policy front, the government, through the Ministry of Water and Environment, revised the water policy, which prioritized the need for women and the other marginalized groups to be fully involved in the water resources management. Engineer Chato has been here, Engineer Yatu has been here saying that it is important to have every homestead connected to a water pipe. But government, His Excellency the President, has asked a big question. If you cannot have a water point in every village, as we speak, about 14,000 villages not yet served with one water point, then what makes you start thinking very quickly about now pipes without first taking care of the whole country? But in principle, the idea would be the best to solve everyone's problem and in record time. But government is asking, what are you first and foremost doing about the other 14,000 villages which we have not had a water point on? But of course, we also understand the PS that currently you have water points and solar-powered arrangement in town councils, in town boards, and they are piped water. It's piped water. So the big question is, how are we handling the 14,000 villages as we discuss the piping of water to the household? It's Professor Kamuntu who knows how to bring it out very well, because he was at one time we are minister. But we keep challenging him because he sits in cabinet. We ask him, now, Professor, you were the Minister of Water. What happened to the 14,000 villages? So let's deal with the issue, as the President always notes, mass. Deal with the masses and in one direction. I therefore urge all development partners, civil society organizations, and the private sector to join hands with the government to ensure that we achieve Agenda 2030 of leaving no one behind, especially women and girls who are most affected by lack of WASH services. As government, we are committed to provide gender-responsive WASH services through increased budget allocations so that no one is left behind, as envisaged in the Sustainable Development Goals and the NRM Manifesto. Secondly, the regional director and the PS, my office commits to working with you all to amplify voices and actions towards scaling up access and provision of gender-responsive WASH services for women and girls in Uganda. And thirdly, we commit to strengthening accountability and monitoring of WASH service delivery in the country. I encourage you all partners present here to join the campaign and together with the government to wash away inequality and create a better future for all women and girls in Uganda. And with these few remarks, I take the honor and privilege to officially launch the Wash is Everyone's Business campaign. I thank you. I don't know how Mr. Mugisha wants me to launch, but I have already launched. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the mic failed me. I wanted to request you to just stay a bit. We are now, since you have already launched, this is the formality where you will now append your signature, and I want to invite the stakeholders. Honorable Basil, you will come and represent members of parliament. The PS is here to represent the Ministry of Water. Birunji, please come and represent the Ministry of Education. Dr. Nabasa, please come and represent the Ministry of Health. And we also have the Ministry of Gender that needs to be represented because the child, the girls and women fall under the Ministry of Gender. So I'll ask for the Ministry of Gender to send a representative, all right? So the Vice President will cut the tape, and may we applaud this. So Your Excellency will just hold for the others to just come closer. We want them in the picture. So we'll count from 3, 2, 1, and 0. Clap, please, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you, Your Excellency. And we'll ask you, Your Excellency, to append your signature to the board and formally launch the Wash is Everyone's Business here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel on this, the 20th of August 2024. We want to also request the Honorable Joel, who is also chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum, WASH, to join us. Yes, Honorable Joel. Honorable Joel, I was asked to make sure you're here. Honorable Joel, thank you. We will have all the stakeholders append their signature. Immediately after, both of you, Honorable Basil and Honorable Joel, will append your signature. Yes. And yes, our Ministry of Gender is also represented, the Ministry of Health is represented, the Ministry of Water is represented, and the Ministry of Health is represented. We will have a photo moment, Your Excellency. But before that, we will have some gifts, Your Excellency. The very first gift, Your Excellency, is from WaterAid. So our country director, WaterAid, will award Her Excellency the Vice after we have finished signing. Yes. So we just have one more signature, and then we can have the first gift, our gift from WaterAid to Her Excellency the Vice President for being a champion of the WASH campaign. As she said, she has always been available for each and every campaign that she's been invited to, and we want to thank her for ensuring that she's always available for the WASH campaigns and, of course, this particular campaign. So we want to thank you, Your Excellency, for availing yourself every single time that you've been invited to officiate and, of course, participate in the WASH campaigns. So, Your Excellency, our very first gift is from WaterAid to you. So I'll ask the Ministry of Gender to come on this side so that the Vice President is awarded her gift from the WaterAid family. Can we appreciate? For purposes of accountability, WaterAid opened it. So, and again, it's below the threshold, so she doesn't have to account for it. Can we appreciate this once again, ladies and gentlemen? Asante sana. Your Excellency, we now request you to award our stakeholders. Our very first award is to the WASH team from Parliament, and so I'll ask Honorable Joel to receive on behalf of Parliament. Honorable Joel, you receive the very first gift on the other side. Yes, Honorable Joel, on behalf of the Uganda Parliamentary WASH Forum. Let's appreciate the members of parliament who continue to advocate for legislation and funding. Our second recipient is UNHCR, our key stakeholders. So I'll invite UNHCR to receive this on behalf of our friends at UNHCR. He's coming, he's here. So we want to appreciate UNHCR. Thank you. Can we appreciate UNHCR, ladies and gentlemen? These are our champions. And the other champion, of course, is the Ministry of Water, and the PS will receive on behalf of the Ministry of Water and Environment. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Because of time, we shall award others later. So we'll allow for the group photo. Yes, the photo here. So stakeholders, please, on either side of the chief guest. Some of you will be on the other side and others on this side. So protocol will handle this. So yes. The Commissioner of Ministry of Health needs his photo. So please take a nice photo on this side. There you go. So we will first have this first photo, and then we'll invite the next stakeholders. I can see the stakeholders are being invited. All right. So this is the very first photo. Don't worry. Commissioner, Engineer Eyatu, please join very quickly before I invite the other stakeholders. Yes. There you go. A quick one before I invite the others to come. I want to request the partners. We have, of course, IRC. We have the USNet, and of course, Water for People. Partners, please join. Partners and Oxfam in Uganda. Our Commissioner Climate Change, our Commissioner Water Resources, Dr. Kalist, and Dr. Mwebesa, please come. And this is the very last photo. I'm making sure all our stakeholders are in the photo. Cameraman, please hold a bit. There's just two more who are joining us. And then we will wrap this up. I'm ensuring they're all represented. And I'll ask our technical team to prepare the anthems. Technical team will keep in our positions where we are. So my stakeholders, please stay at the front. We'll have the anthems in reverse order, the East African anthem and the Uganda national anthem. And then our chief guest, as before she departs, will cut the cake. So please stay. Please stay. Please stay. We're going to have the anthems. Just stay in the same position. Oh, you can sit. Okay. All right. Let's go back. All right. We'll have the anthems, and then I will request our chief guest, before you depart, we have a very beautiful cake you will cut for us, and then we'll allow you to return to other duties. May we have the anthems, please? We'll now just take our seats and request Her Excellency to give us just 1 minute. The team is bringing this forward, and I'll request, of course, the Country Director of WaterAid, our PS, to come, including, of course, the other partners, the honorable members of parliament. Honorable Joel, you will represent us. as members of parliament, and the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Water, and the Ministry of Education. So please come, and we'll count from 3. So we'll count from 3, 2, 1, and 0. We want to thank you, Your Excellency, and we know you're in a rush, so we know you have another engagement. Your Excellency, apologies for holding you too long. I would like to request our stakeholders to remain in the room. Please do stay with us as we just allow for Her Excellency to leave. We have a couple of things that we need to do because the Vice President had to leave. Before I invite Oxfam to say a vote of thanks, I want to request the other stakeholders, our champions, as soon as the country director, WaterAid, has returned, we need to be able to award our other champions here in front of everyone, but also to then close formally with a statement from our country director, Oxfam in Uganda. So I want to appreciate all of you. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Patrick, first of all, I need to know, we have lunch, right? I don't want to keep people here and then, okay. So lunch is will be available as soon as, Patrick, make sure my country director returns, because I need to make sure she's here to award the stakeholders. So we want to appreciate in a very special way all the key stakeholders, our partners, and all the members of parliament who've made their way here to join us for the launch of WASH is Everyone's Business today. We thank you for your time. And as we save some time, because I know she's signing a couple of photos in the lounge, allow me invite Francis Odokorach, the country director Oxfam, to come and make a vote of thanks. And then I'll ask our country director to award our other champions who are here in the room. So you're welcome. May we appreciate Francis, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Maurice, for welcoming me. But I know that I am the one standing between you and your lunch. But if you're not too mean, I think he deserves some very big round of applause for a job well done. I know that you have been in this business for a long time, but if you could be recognized by Her Excellency for always standing with the WASH community, then I think you're the right person to be here. My job is very, very simple. Again, my name is Francis Shanti Odokorach. I'm the country director for Oxfam in Uganda, and we are the partners that are working together collaboratively to champion this campaign. I know that in the House we have a number of members of parliament, and my job here, is to appreciate every single one that is here. I know for sure that Her Excellency has been very, very generous to give us so much time, and I know that she has made very, very big commitment in her submission this afternoon. But before I would go into that, I really want to welcome everybody to extend our round of applause to all the members of parliament that have been with us and are still with us here. Please, let's give them a big round of applause. Somebody told me not too long ago that it's very difficult to keep members of parliament around for a long time. They are normally very busy when they come for these kind of functions. They always run out because they have to balance many other responsibilities. But the fact that you've taken so much time, and we heard very clearly that many of you have already been engaging in this work for a very long time. So thank you very much for always championing the WASH in your various work. It's very important that we also recognize all the representatives of the local government that are here. Thank you so much for working with us. If you partner with the government and you don't work with the local government, then it's very, very difficult to know that you're delivering. Let's give them a big round of applause. Private sector, normally when we are recognizing, because of the profit-oriented nature, we always think that they don't really care that much. That is absolutely wrong. We work very closely with private sector in every work that we do, and we know for sure that they mean well and they engage very well. And therefore, for all the private sector members that have been here, under your different platforms, thank you so much for keeping the girls at school. Thank you for innovating those technologies that are very inclusive. That includes people living with disability, women, children, and all the youth and the people that need such appropriate technology. We heard your cries very clearly, and together I am also hopeful that the members of parliament will continue to champion so that the costs of the WASH facilities can reduce in terms of the importation and many others. So let's give a big round of applause to all the private sector that have been with us through this journey and will continue to work with us through this campaign. Thank you so much for your good job. I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate all the civil society actors that are here. Thank you for the collaboration and the partnership. These are some of the pillars that will keep this campaign going. And the media houses, for sure, if you don't send the messages out, it will be very difficult that we can reach out to everybody in the corners of the country. So we thank you very much. Just in case I have not mentioned you in any of the categories, please forgive me for that, but I am sure that you will walk the journey with us. Some very few quick issues that have been emerging here that I thought would be very important as we give these votes of thanks to all the people that we have. Her Excellency has been very eloquent in her submission. She concluded that indeed she's having and will continue to hold a commitment to supporting this cause and to ensure that all the commitments that were put here, she's able to follow up. And we know for sure that given her history, she will continue to work with us through the different ministries that are here with us. The aspects of inequality has come out very strongly, that indeed, even when disasters occur, it disproportionately affects certain categories in our midst. Women, children, people living with disabilities, and I've also been reminded that people who are categorized as, the poorest or the most vulnerable, they do experience this kind of issues that happens in a very different way compared to those that are well off. And therefore, it is super important that as we engage in this campaign, we recognize the various differences that exist amidst us. The aspect of unpaid care work has emerged, or sometimes people prefer to call it the care work. When we look at the time that women spend in terms of engaging in care activities at home, in our communities and in different places, they spend more time than their male counterparts. And this also, in a way, relates very strongly with the fact that the men are doing better in terms of economic empowerment than the women, because the women spend more time in the work that keeps them away from economic activities, and yet they're not paid for. And therefore, it's super important to recognize, reduce, and redistribute the care work in our midst. I also want to acknowledge the issues that came around the intersectionality of WASH, especially with health, education, and the aspect of climate change and adaptation came out very strongly. Environmental protection, no need to emphasize on that because this is exactly what we have to work around. Issues of partnership. Without partnership and meaningful partnership, it's impossible for us to achieve these tasks. And therefore, we will continue to engage, and I really, really want to acknowledge and welcome the commitment that came from the Ministry of Environment, that indeed they will continue to work with us. This is a shared responsibility, and we look forward as partners to work with you very closely. The aspect of local leadership has come out very strongly. We have the experience of championing local leadership in terms of the humanitarian intervention as well as development. We acknowledge that indeed the local actors, if they are at the forefront of this engagement, goes a long way in achieving sustainability. That has always eluded us in development work for a long time. And therefore, I really want to take the opportunity also to acknowledge UNHCR and all the UN agencies with whom together we have continued to champion localization agenda in both humanitarian work as well as for development engagement. And we believe that if we continue in this direction, it will help us in a long way. Of course, we are washing away inequality. How do we wash away inequality? I think there's been a lot of recommendations that have come, but underpinning all of this is aspects of partnership, aspects of accountability, aspects of coordination, and aspects of monitoring of the work that we do. And I think this is part of our parting shot as Her Excellency was concluding. I really want to take this opportunity on behalf of the organizing team and on behalf of the partners that are championing this campaign, and I really, really want to ask all of us to carry out these messages and please join the campaign, because it is open and we will continue to reach all parts that we can be able to. It's not only the members that are here, but all of us will continue to play different roles. I also want to conclude by extending deep appreciation to my sister, the country director for WaterAid Uganda, and all management of WaterAid for really coming together to provide the leadership to have this campaign launched today. Thank you so much for your good job. With these few words, I really want to thank all of you in your various capacity. I know that you have a lot to do, but you have maintained your presence here. We don't take that for granted. I say all of this for God and my country. Thank you so much.
I was just making sure he signed. If he didn't, can we get the marker? Because Oxfam in Uganda is a key stakeholder. So as soon as, Patrick, let's get a marker here. Because each and every recipient of Champions Awards is going to have to leave a signature here. So let's get a marker. So I'll invite our country director, Dr. Joyce, please come. We have a couple of more champions we'd like to award and recognize. And so you will do it close here in the middle. So I want to start by inviting, and since he's already here, our very first recipient will be Oxfam in Uganda. We want to appreciate Oxfam. So Tim, please bring the pack for Oxfam, and Francis, please receive on behalf of Oxfam. We want to appreciate you. Can we appreciate Oxfam in Uganda once again, ladies and gentlemen? I now want to invite Water for People. Water for People, a representative from Water for People. Anyone still here? If so, IRC can come first. IRC, Naomi will come first as we wait for Brenda. IRC, we want to appreciate you for the support and for championing WASH in our communities. Can we appreciate IRC, ladies and gentlemen? As we wait for Brenda, I want to request USNet. USNet, please come. I want to invite Unia to come and receive. So as each of you comes, make sure you append your signature to the board. We want to once again thank USNet for being one of our champions. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for USNet. Unia, you'll also sign on the board. I now want to invite, I think Brenda is not here. May I invite Commissioner Mwebesa? And the year is like Margaret Mwebesa. Please come. On behalf of the Climate Change Office, and she's also our focal point person for the UNFCCC. There are so many C's you might forget. So, Commissioner, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Commissioner Mwebesa. I'm still holding forth, hoping that Brenda would show up. But in case she doesn't, we will keep one for water for people. Did I leave anyone else? Yes. Yes, gender, Minister of Gender. Yes. We keep forgetting that women and the girls fall under the Minister of Gender. My apologies. Minister of Gender, please come. And we want to appreciate you for the support to this campaign. I'll, of course, I'm hoping, is Mr. Birunji still here? I was checking for, yes, okay. Minister of Education, and Brenda, don't go very far. After Minister of Education, we are coming to Water for People. There you go. Mr. Birunji, thank you so much, Commissioner. And we know the work you're doing. There you go. Can we appreciate the Ministry of Education, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. And for him, he signed, so it is okay. Has gender? Yes, gender signed. May I invite Brenda on behalf of Water for People to come. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Water for People. And we want to thank Ms. Brenda Achiro for all the work you're doing in the WASH campaign. And we want to appreciate you all. All right? Thank you so much. Okay. So we need to close this up, and I need to mention that on your way out, you will get the lunch coupons on your way out. But Francis, there's a cake. How do we eat this cake? Now that you want it to go back to the WaterAid office. We see what you're trying to do. All right, so I'm hoping, and I'm doing this as I buy time, who is cutting our cake? Because we can't live without eating it. And we need to go and have lunch. So can we make sure that as I do the going forward statements? All right, so as you walk out, ladies and gentlemen, shortly, you will receive the lunch coupons on your way out. Again, to all you, our stakeholders who are still here, find time to come and append your signature to the board. It's allowed. Just make your way and append your signature. But the campaign now has been launched and will be rolled out immediately. The next steps include the regional, what you may call barazas or forums that are going to happen in the local governments where it was mentioned that the local governments are critical players. So there will be regional forums that will be coming, that will culminate into the national summit. That will come at the end after the regional forums. But the campaign and the entire roadmap that has started now will of course involve the media, where a lot of work is going to be done in sensitizing the public, as mentioned here in the panel discussions. There will also be several sensitization engagements with the local leaders, with community leaders, and all the stakeholders who are here in the room, working with the ministries that have been present or represented here, and working with the various stakeholders across the entire water access, sanitation, and hygiene sub-program. Each of you will be contacted. We want to appreciate all of you, and hopefully we can get all of you to participate in this campaign, because it is very clear that WASH is everyone's business. So as soon as WaterAid contacts you or gets in touch, please do participate in this roadmap. Members of Parliament, we will, of course, be in touch with you when the teams reach your communities, and we want you to support this campaign that, of course, will come to your communities, that will come into your areas, and we want to thank you once again for joining us for this launch. And can we, all of us, first of all, appreciate each other, and thanks everyone for joining us today for this launch. We want to thank the team at WaterAid for putting this together and for inviting all of us to be part of this launch. We thank you so much. Please don't leave cake. Cake is coming to your table. I was buying more time so that cake can get to you. But the networking continues, and please do not forget to have lunch with us on your way out. Our lunch coupon will come to you, or at least you'll get it on your way out, and you will be directed where lunch is. So thank you very much. Please continue. As Engineer Yato said, if you have a platform, if you have a voice somewhere, whether it's on radio, television, or in the print, or even on social media, please find some space to talk about this WASH campaign. Please find some space to talk about access to water. Find some space to talk about sanitation. find some space to talk about hygiene. It's everyone's business. So I want to thank you all and see you in the regional forums and also see you when we host the National Summit. So we thank you. On behalf of WaterAid, enjoy the rest of your afternoon and please join us for lunch. Thank you very much. In case you missed our video, I'll ask the technical team to play our video once again. Those who didn't watch our video, they can watch as we make our way. We'll prepare the video, a very short video, for those of you who may not have watched it. But again, as you walk out, please pick your lunch coupon. Thank you very much.
Amanya gange mpitibwa Naula Sharon, ndi mutuze wa Lugwala Quarter. Bwe nzuukuka ku makya nsooka n'ensaba ne neebaza Katonda okumpisa mu kiro. Bwe mmala ne nsituka ne neesenyaako ne mpa n'abaana ne bamala okwesenya ne ntegeka ono agenda ku ssomero. Bwe mmala omutegeka n'agenda ku ssomero kati ne nsigaza ono omulala omuto naye ne mmunaaza mu maaso. Ne mmala omunaaza mu maaso n'agenda okuzannya ne banne nga nze bwe nsigala nga nkola egyawaka. Ne njera oluggya, bwe mmala okwera oluggya ne njera ne mu nnyumba ne nfulumya ebintu ebikyafu ne mbyoza. Bwe mmala obbyoza ne ŋŋenda ku luzzi. Bwe nkomawo okuva ku luzzi ne nkuma essigiri ne nteekako caayi. Bwe mmala oteekako caayi ne mulinda najja ne tunywa ne tuwummulako awo nga bwe ntegeka nga lunch nga bwe nninda n'agenze ku ssomero. Abantu bangi ate nga tustragolinga ku bbowa egyo emu. Oyinza okgenda ku bbowa egyo n'osanga nga abantu bwe bati nga layini empanvu nga kiwuka katako okutuula olinde banno bamalirize okusunda abakusooseewo. Ne bamala okusunda nawe n'olyoka n'okola ki? N'osunda amazzi. Kati oluusi bbowa egenda n'etuwonoonekako. Kati wali omugga omulala oguli ey'emmanga. Obuzibu bwe tusanga ey'emmanga, ente zinywa omugundi, abaana bawugiramu. Mwaga amazzi nga bbowa efudde. Kati n'osanga ng'oluusi ab'ente bali mu kunywisa. Nga bali kuwa ente yaabwe amazzi. Ente ziyinza okumala ne zisooka ne zinywa. Olumala okunywa nga naawe olyoka okola ki? Nga nammwe mulyoka musera. Kati ago amazzi ogenda gafumbisa. Bwe twakwesanga ago amazzi oluusi abaana baali baddukana, abaana balwala. Wali abaami baali babiri, abaana bwe bagenda ku bbowa, bwe bagenda emmanga eyo okukima amazzi, ng'oluusi babagoba. Waliyo n'omu gwe baakwata ne babagoba. N'ekyamukisa mulungi waliyo omwami yali ali mu kukkirira naye. Katono yalaba omusajja ng'ali kukkirira omubi n'akola ki? N'ayingira mu kikajjo ye n'agenda. WaterAid yatuyambye tusomesa okubeera abayonjo. Etuyambye otusomesa mbu mulina okubeera n'akatanda bye twali tutalina nga tenaba kujja byali tebiriiwo. Abamu tetwali tetulina ttooyi, tetwali tetulina butandaalo, twali tetulina biyigo. Ebyo byali tebiriiwo. N'okuva WaterAid we yajja kati buli omu alina ttooyi, alina ekiyigo, alina waaya, alina akatandaalo. Obuyonjo bwo bukyuse. Obuyonjo bukyuse bulungi kati saa zino ekyalo kiri colourful. era bw'okiyingiramu naawe owulira essanyu olwa WaterAid era tubeebaza nnyo. Okuva olunaku lwe nalaba nga aba WaterAid batandise okujja muno ne bagamba bagenda tuyamba ku ky'amazzi, nze omutima ogwange n'ogw'abalala bonna bana twasanyukira wamu olw'ensonga twali tugenda kuwona endwadde n'okuyombagana ku nnayikonta n'obulimba bw'abamakanika abaali batulyanga ne ssente zaffe ne bagenda ne batakomawo. Kakyova olaba twakiwerokaminga ngaffe ekyalo ne tusanyuka era ne tubeebaza nnyo nti mwebale kujja kukola ki kutubeererawo natuyamba okutuleetera amazzi agagenda otuwa obulamu obulungi okusinziira nga bwe twali tubonaabona emabega nga temunaba kujja. Kati saa zino tugenda kufuna amazzi agamala, tugenda kufuna amazzi akola emirimu gyaffe egyawaka. Aba wooteri bagenda kufuna amazzi, tebagenda kuddamu kudaaga kuba abasawo bagombolola baali bajjanga ne babakwata olw'amazzi amakyafu. Naye kati saa zino byonna byonna bigenda kukola ki? Bigenda kumu olw'ensonga amazzi gatuli kumpi kati. Tetukyagenda lugendo na bino bibadde barepingira abaana ku bbo eyo tebikyaliyo. N'ebino ente zibadde zinywanga mu mazzi tetukozesa wamu n'amazzi n'ente. Kati saa zino bigenda kukomo.